So, JGPanther26.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I'm going to be the one asking the questions today. Because I have put together a list of every single Nintendo franchise, and we're going to predict what's going to happen with it on the Switch 2. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm so ready. I'm ready.
Yay! So to clarify a few things before we start, obviously, I'm sure I missed some sort of franchise out there. For all of the Wrecking Crew fans, I'm sorry, but I kind of wanted to, like, there's some funny things on here. I mean, like, there's some things that, like, probably shouldn't be on here, just to ponder what a new entry could look like. But for the most part, I wanted it to be series that either have multiple entries, or if they don't have multiple entries, they are, like, newer IPs that, like, you could see getting a sequel. So the list is probably not the most definitive thing, but we're going to talk about it anyways. Also, we are going to assume that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible with Switch 1, first of all, and also that the Switch 2 will, like, probably be launching next year sometime. I think holiday, but I think for the sake of this video, we're just going to say, like, oh, we think this game is going to come out within the first year or within the first 2 years. Something like that to kind of just, like, narrow it down, but also not be too specific because we don't know when the console is coming out at all. So, yeah. But yeah, I've written down some things for each series, kind of just, like, my general opinion. But you have not written anything down. You have the list, though.
Yeah, I was in Disney World, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll do the one at the top of the list. Animal Crossing. What do we think about Animal Crossing? I personally think that it's gonna be within the first year, simply because, like, New Horizons.
That's what I was about to say.
New Horizons is such, like, a big thing. Like, it is the if you don't count Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because that's a Wii U game, the New Horizons is the best-selling Switch game, like, original Switch game, and it was so big, and, like, they're gonna want to capitalize on that and get it out, like, pretty early. Plus, Animal Crossing, like, it'll have been a few years by the time that then the Switch 2 launches and the next game comes out.
It's definitely not too recent.
When did New Leaf came out? In November 2012, so that was like 7.5 years. I don't think we're gonna have to wait that long.
Yeah, but you also have to remember we got a lot of spin-offs in between that time, whereas ever since New Horizons, all we've gotten Animal Crossing related is updates to New Horizons, which it's not as crazy as Happy Home Designer getting a full release, plus all the amiibo cards they had to make for that, plus the Welcome Amiibo update to New Leaf, plus Amiibo Festival. Like, they did a lot with Amiibo. Yeah. And it just took a lot of effort. And then they had to integrate all that into the new game on Switch, and then COVID happened. So that big wait should not be expected for the next game in the franchise. And since it has been 4 years since the last one, assuming that the next console launches in 2025, I don't think it's going to be a launch title, but it's definitely going to be a launch year release.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be launch title either. It's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, they want to get it out soon, but, like, all the casual fans aren't going to be buying the console on day one, so there's no real point in making it a launch title. They want to have a little bit of an install base first.
Yeah, unless you're talking about, like, the crazy Animal Crossing fans, because those people will, if it's a launch title, that will sell the system for them.
Well, yeah, but also there's
and you could also say that with every franchise.
Honestly, I think now I don't want to do this for every single franchise, but I think that if this is assuming it launches, like, holiday 2025, I think having Animal Crossing as, like, a summer game would work really well. Like, coming out maybe in, like, June, if this console launches in, like, October or November. Have it come out in June. Gives you a few months past the holiday season.
I personally think they're gonna go with an earlier launch window. Like, I have always been a big fan of the idea of them releasing the next console in March, because or March or April, because if they announce it soon, then it's the same kind of time frame.
Yeah, it'll be just
Switch
like with
released.
Switch 1. Yeah.
So it makes sense due to history. But I think if it, I feel like, yeah, if it launches holiday, then it will work well as a summer game, and I also feel like it works both ways, because if it launches early on next year, June is just a few months later, so it's a very early title in the system's life, so it's not a launch title, but it's a very quick seller, kind of like how Splatoon 2 was.
Or like Mario Kart 8. I mean, it would be a bit later than Mario Kart 8, but yeah.
Right. That's why I gave Splatoon as the example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think... I still think it's going to be like holiday 2025, because my hopes... Look, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have told you that the Switch was going to be launching holiday this year, and here we are. But you
never know.
Yeah. You never know. It could launch tomorrow. Yeah. I think no matter when it launches, we can agree that like the June, kind of like maybe even May, like kind of summer-ish time frame would work really well for a new Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for launch year.
So the next franchise we have is Fire Emblem. Now I put year 1, but I could also see it like year 2, and here's what I'm thinking. I bet that Nintendo wants either a new Fire Emblem game or a new Xenoblade game within the first year, kind of like how they had Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in 2017. But I think that that Fire Emblem is going to be like the launch year, like Nintendo RPG, simply because I think Fire Emblem, like, it probably takes less time to develop, because the Xenoblade games are like big open worlds and stuff. We'll talk about Xenoblade when we get there, but my whole thing was like, yeah, they want to get out some sort of RPG within the first year, so I just put Fire Emblem as my year 1 like RPG.
I'm thinking like year 2.
Yeah, I could see year 2 as well.
TBH.
Nintendo probably wants some sort of big in-house RPG for like the first year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. I don't know, man. It's giving year 2.
I just got a feeling. No, there's some stuff in this list where I just got a feeling. But yeah.
I just got a feeling.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, but we can agree, like, probably year 1 or 2, like, within the first 2 years, probably.
Yeah, probably early on.
Moving on to Kirby. What do you think about Kirby? I want to hear you first on this one.
Let's think. Okay, so when did Forgotten Land release? That was like...
Forgotten Land came out in, I think it was like March 2022?
I feel like they have something cooking, because I feel like it's been long enough since Forgotten Land that it's like... Kirby is such a track record for being like release after release after release.
Mm-hmm.
For some, like, I want to say launch year, but like for some reason, my heart and soul are just exclaiming this is not a launch year for some reason. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
That's what I'm thinking.
Even a launch title, like year 2.
I put year 2. So my thought process was like, we can like assume that the next Kirby game is gonna be like 3D like Forgotten Land, right?
Right.
So my whole thought process was, well, if I think like 3D Mario is the next one we're gonna talk about, but I think we can like both agree that 3D Mario is most definitely launch year.
Yeah.
So I don't think they want
3D Mario's launch title. Like
that is what I put, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I think Kirby, it's probably not gonna be like year 1, simply because they don't want to have like internal competition with Mario. Next is 3D Mario. Now, we alluded to this just before, but I put a launch title simply because it's been so long. This is probably the thing I'm most confident in, is 3D Mario as a launch title. Yeah, I think we can both agree that.
They won't have Zelda, because Tears of the Kingdom was such a late Switch release. There's no way they have another big 3D Zelda game to start off with. And it's been so long since Odyssey, and so many people have been clamoring for Odyssey 2, and there were so many predictions about Odyssey 2. We gotta get Odyssey 2 this year. Oh, it wasn't this year, but maybe next year. Oh,
yeah,
stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's just been so long that like they had to have been making something, and whether it was always the plan for next console, or it was just it became too big and they were like, let's push it to that. I think it's ready.
Yeah, and we'll get more into this when we get to like the Donkey Kong series. But my whole like personal hope has been that for Switch 2, they're going to create a Mario and Donkey Kong 3D platformer. I have this vision in my mind where you play as both of them and you can like pass the other Joy-Con to a friend and you can both play like together and explore the big world. This is pretty specific for this kind of thing, but because there was a whole rumor a few years ago about the Mario Odyssey team working on a Donkey Kong game. But what if it's like a Mario Odyssey 2 and you can play as Donkey Kong? You know, we know Donkey Kong exists in like the Mario Odyssey like story-ish with the whole New Donk City Pauline kind of thing. So honestly, that is my personal hope. And I think if they do that, or like even if they just have a new 3D Mario and it's a launch title, and it's sort of in the style of Odyssey, I will be completely happy.
Yeah, I really think it's launch title. I think we can both agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2D Mario.
Yeah, 2D Mario. So for the most part, I like if I thought it would be like second half of the Switch 2's life, I put like year 4 plus, because like realistically, I'm not going to be able to predict what's on the Switch 2 5 years from now. But that's when I put for 2D Mario. Right. I think we just got Wonder, and we're going to talk about Mario Maker next, but it really kind of just depends on what they do with Mario Maker, because the same studio that makes Mario Maker also makes 2D Marios, and they also make Pikmin. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But I think it'll probably be like second half. I don't think they're going to prioritize it super early, unless they decide to do kind of like a new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe kind of thing, where they want to have a new 2D Mario like kind of early. I don't think they're gonna, but like maybe they could do like a remake of another game or something, or maybe. I don't know.
It's certainly possible.
But I don't think we're gonna see much with 2D Mario, especially if Mario Maker does get another game on Switch 2. But we'll talk about that in a sec. What are your thoughts on 2D Mario?
Yeah. So okay, here's my thing about 2D Mario. We just got Wonder. Wonder was such a big new direction for it. One of the things that I've been hearing a lot of discussion about with Switch 2 is the idea of, like, them selling enhanced versions, like, upgrades of Switch games kind of thing, where it's like, oh, you can pay, like, $10 on the eShop and have your thing up, like, kind of like how PS4, there's a lot of games where it's like, upgrade your PS4 game into the PS5 version. And I could see Mario Wonder. I could see stuff like Mario Wonder and Pikmin 4 being that kind of thing, and like Tears of the Kingdom kind of thing. I don't know if they're actually going to do that, but my point in bringing all that up is I just feel like it is so recent that, if anything, the 2D Mario on Switch 2, assuming backwards compatibility exists, is going to be Mario Wonder for a while. Like, yeah. I just think that it kind of already is established as that, because of how late it released in the Switch's life.
But I don't know. I'm looking at the sales right now for Mario Wonder. That game sold 13 million copies. And that came out like a year ago.
Yeah.
So like 13 million that late in the console's life is crazy. So maybe they won't want to prioritize it. Let me look up like new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe sales. Let me see how much that game sold. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe sold 17 million. So a bit more, but you know, the fact that like a new, like, I feel like if the game switched spots, I think Mario Wonder would have sold more than U Deluxe did, and U Deluxe definitely would have sold less than it did. So maybe they'll want to prioritize it. I mean, it just does so well. It would make sense to, but I don't know, because, you know, Mario Maker 2 didn't do as well as I think Nintendo was hoping. We're kind of just leading into Mario Maker at this point. Mario Maker didn't do as well as they were hoping, and then of course you have New Sub U Deluxe, which sold what is this, number 10? Is this 10 on the list of the top? Yeah, it's the 10th best selling Switch game. So I don't know, maybe they will just prioritize doing a new one, or maybe they'll do like an enhanced version of Wonder, and maybe they'll add like some new levels or something, or like DLC. I don't know.
Maybe. I can maybe see that. I think at earliest year 3, but I agree with you, year 4 plus.
Yeah, because if you think about it, even you
But I definitely could see early year 4.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like U Deluxe was within the second year of Switch, but it was like in January. So it was almost year 3. So honestly, yeah, I could see that. I could see like year 3.
Okay, Mario Maker, I have
Maker
strong
discussion.
feelings on.
What's your strong feelings on Mario Maker?
On Mario Maker.
Let's hear
Mario Maker 3D.
Okay.
It's going to like direct is happening, you know, maybe it's the cold open, maybe it's in the middle, maybe it's the one more thing, but it's gonna be a kind of thing where it's like Mario Maker 3 Z, you know, like that kind of thing, right?
That would be cool. Okay, wait. I'm kind of more on board with this now. But
and like it's kind of like, obviously you got the third game in the franchise, and I've been saying this for a while, that Mario Maker 2 did not do as well as they wanted it to. Mainly because they kind of advertised it as like an infinite Mario game with like all this stuff that like, oh, there's just infinite levels. But the casuals, they didn't really give a shit. They just wanted to play a 2D Mario game and just have fun. So, and like where Mario Maker 2 strived, especially in the updates as they came out, was that like more, I don't want to say competitive scene, but it was the people who got really into it, and is where it had its place on the internet, like of people doing like Endless Easy, like Alpha Rad, or people who made troll levels and like making content off of that, and even just stuff like whatchamacallit, the overworld editor. The fact that was
came too late,
the last
I think, though. I think if that launched with the game, I think it would have done better if it launched with the game. If they was like, oh, you can play someone's whole Mario game that they made.
Well, that's my point. It didn't launch with the game because that's not what they were focusing on at the time. And so I think as they switched to like, they gave us a power-up from Super Mario Land. They gave us a power-up that was basically like a Super Mario Bros. 2 style, except obviously, you know, it kind of just
they didn't have the time or like whatever to make a whole new theme.
Yeah,
but they basically incorporated it into the Mario 1 theme.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and then there's the big there's Link, right? They had Link. Didn't need to do that. There's Overworld. All this stuff that if you're casual, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But it's for the people who were like really into making levels and expressing themselves creatively through Mario Maker. That's what they pandered to, in those later updates, right? Especially with the overworld map, because the overworld map kind of goes against what they marketed it as in the beginning. I mean, yes and no, right? Because the overworld map, it was very highly requested so that people could like make their own Mario game and then show it off, right? Like just send it off.
Otherwise, you would have to go to like
those
their
people at the end
or whatever and have to look at all of their levels, you know?
Yeah. And so it's the kind of thing where I feel like they really gave the power to the players much more than they did with the original Mario Maker with these updates to Super Mario Maker 2. So I think, assuming they're going to make a new Mario Maker, I think they're going to go all the way and really make something that is fully, like, expressing yourself kind of creatively, right? Like that. So I think it's going to be Super Mario Maker 3D. So obviously playing off of Mario Maker 3D, right? It just kind of plays off of that.
That fits really well. I like that.
And the main style that will be advertised will be 3D World, just like how Mario Maker 2 had that. And like, you know, people were always saying like, this is weird that there's a style that's 3D World, but it's not. It's 2D. It's not 3D. So 3D World will be like the big one. And it'll kind of just be, you still make simple get to the flagpole levels, or you can replace the flagpole with like a moon or a power star, and there'll be Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, 3D World, Odyssey, and they'll all work basically the same. It won't be as crazy as like you'll get these physics. It'll just essentially be aesthetic, which people will be disappointed by because they won't necessarily say that in the trailers, and then people will get their hands on the game and it'll be very kind of disappointing in that way. But I don't think Nintendo would go as far as to implement all the physics, as cool as that would be. But I think that's the kind of thing they would do with all of that. They just have the 3D games with that style, and maybe also in another mode you could do the 2D, like make 2D levels. But I feel like probably not. I feel like maybe it would kind of just be like, oh, just get Mario Maker 2 if you want to do that.
It's on the same system too, or it'll be backwards compatible. So
yeah, it would be backwards compatible, and like, hey, maybe they could do something like you get a code for Mario Maker 2 if you like pre-order it or something.
That would be kind of crazy. I don't know, but like, yeah,
it would be interesting, right? Like I could see it in my head now of like a trailer of like 4 people, you know, it's all the characters from 3D World just playing through a level, right? And then they come to like an impassable wall. Go into editing mode, they remove the wall or whatever, and like, you know, and it'll obviously be a more difficult user interface to get behind, but the point with that is it's much more for the people who really devote themselves to these things rather than the casuals. So it'll be a lot more free like that. So it'll mainly just be like, here's your objective, get to the flagpole kind of levels, or you can replace the flagpole with different items to represent things, or maybe it'll be something like get all the red coins, or something like, you know, different thing. Because Mario Maker 2 even had those kind of things where it's like, before you can touch the flagpole, you have to do this specific thing. And like, I think that has so much potential, and I think if we're making a new Mario Maker, that's what it's going to be. This, to me, is a year 3 at the earliest. I'm thinking 3 or 4. I don't think much past that, because I think it'll be earlier on. Like, I don't think it'll be a late Switch 2 release. I think they're gonna want to get it out there, but it's going to be a little bit into the Switch's life cycle. Like, definitely late year 3 at the earliest.
All of what you said is very interesting. I do not personally think that we're gonna get the Mario Maker where you can make like 3D Mario games. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen or that I don't want it to happen, because I do. Your idea sounds perfect. I would totally be down for that. But I just don't think we're at like I don't want to say like we're technologically advanced enough, but I just don't think like I don't know how they would do it. I can't imagine like how you would make like a level like that unless you had something where it's like a Galaxy 2 3D world thing where like the camera's fixed and you just have like kind of like a 2.5D. I can maybe see that, but I think it would just make things too confusing. I would like it to happen. I would like to see Nintendo tackle something, but personally, I think if we're gonna get another Mario Maker, it'll kind of just be like more Mario Maker with new stuff. I think having a Mario Wonder theme would be a really good idea. You could add the Wonder Flower, which maybe you could customize what the Wonder Flower does, and there's like so many different things, like endless possibilities or whatever, which would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. If we get another Mario Maker and it ends up being 2D, I think we
need a Mario Wonder
given. Game. Like, yeah. We need Wonder, and we need to be able to customize what Wonder Flower does. That would be amazing.
But also, like, I just looked it up while you were talking. Mario Maker 2 only sold 8 million units compared to Wonder's 13. Which is kind of crazy because Mario Maker came out more than 5 years ago, and Mario Wonder came out like a year ago, and even then, that sales report about Mario Wonder was from March of this year, so I'm sure it's probably over like 15 million now, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that they're gonna prioritize making a new Mario Maker, but I would like to see one. Again, I'm kind of in your boat where I think it'll be like year 3, year 4 plus. I don't think they're going to want to make it like super close to when the new console comes out, because I think they want to prioritize other stuff first. But I think getting a new Mario Maker, getting that Wonder style, or even like a 3D thing, I would love to see all of that, but I'm very unsure about what's going to happen with Mario Maker.
Yeah, it's definitely uncertain. I feel like a lot of it just depends on if they even continue with Mario Maker, because there's a likely reality where we could just never see Mario Maker again, which would be really sad, but it's definitely possible with just Nintendo's shift in, values in the products that they're selling, just because like of how Mario Maker 2 did, and it's just it just wasn't as lucrative as the first one, because the first one was very a product of its time, and it was for a smaller install base that really ate it up, which is again what I'm saying with Mario Maker 3D, if that happens, of like kind of refocusing to that audience of really hardcore Nintendo fans who have these ideas to make their own Mario games and like want to express themselves creatively in that way.
I feel like if they do it with 3D though, like it would just be I feel like it would be too complicated to like the logistics of it, and it would be for an even smaller amount of people, because I feel like 2D Mario, you can even if you're like a casual fan, I think you can understand kind of how that creation process works. But I feel like doing something 3D like that, it would be way too complex. But I would love to see it. I would eat it up. I would be super excited about that.
When I picture it, I kind of picture like a 3D world level, and then like you kind of just tap an enemy and just like place it on the ground or whatever, and you can like add little ramps and stuff. But I definitely like if you're getting to a sort of point where like, I mean, Galaxy would be super complicated if you're doing a Galaxy style, so they probably wouldn't do a Galaxy style.
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo decides to wait until just different hardware that's better for making a game like this. I mean, like, not that I'm saying I want them to make the Wii U 2 in like 2035 or whatever. I think the Switch didn't work the best for like creating levels for Mario Maker, even in handheld mode. So, but I think they kind of felt pressured to make a new game because of how well the original did on Wii U and how many people wanted a new Mario Maker game. I think nowadays people are kind of satisfied with Mario Maker 2. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see it at all, but I would like to see, in an ideal world, they would have, of course, the 3D thing, or they would, just make a new game, kind of like they did with Mario Maker 2, just kind of add the Wonder theme, and yeah. Moving on, we have Mario Kart. Now, I wanted to say year one really bad, like so bad. I want to say year one, but the booster course pass, it just puts such like a huge wrench in everything, because not only do you just have the fact that like, oh, we just got all this Mario Kart content really recently, but like also the scope of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe right now is so large. It has like almost 100 tracks. That's crazy. To where like I don't think they can make a new Mario Kart game and get it up to what 8 Deluxe has already done. It's kind of how I feel about Smash right now. But I don't think they can, if they do something new, I don't think they can build up to that. And obviously I don't want them to make an 8 Deluxe 2, because I feel like we've already been in the Mario Kart 8, we've been in the world of Mario Kart 8
like, Deluxe Ultimate.
Yeah, we've been with Mario
Deluxe,
Kart 8 for like a decade. We've been with 8 for like a decade, and I want to move on. I think if they want to... If they make a new game, or not if, but like when they make a new Mario Kart game, I think they need to reinvent the wheel. I think they need to like completely change up Mario Kart and make it something. No, I don't think they should completely change it up, but they need to add something that's like substantial enough to be like, oh yeah, I can see the value in this. I see a different value than 8 Deluxe. Obviously, 8 Deluxe is going to have the value of, oh well, there's 96 tracks and basically the perfect Mario Kart roster. What more could you want? Well, maybe you want something different, and the next Mario Kart game is going to prioritize something different, which could be good, could be bad. If nothing else, 8 Deluxe will be on Switch 2 with backwards compatibility, so you have that. And yeah.
I want to say year one, honestly.
I want to say it too, but I think if they're gonna like completely change things up, they probably need more time. I'm thinking like maybe like 2 or 3. Like, kind of like when Mario Kart 8 came out in, like, the Wii U's life, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts?
Not really. It's tough to nail down, because, like...
It's kind of the same thing with Mario Maker, where it's like...
I don't know what Nintendo's strategy is going to be.
I don't know what they're going to want to do
prioritize
with this.
now.
Yeah. But you know what I do know the strategy of, because it hasn't changed in the last generation, but Mario Party. I'm confident in year 3, simply because we just got Mario Party, and they usually come out like every 3 years. Maybe year 2, because like, I mean, by the time Switch 2 comes out, it'll be like a year, probably like around a year since Jamboree launched. So maybe like year 2, but like year 2 or 3. I mean,
yeah, I'm thinking 3.
Oh, let me pull up that sales chart again, because I'm pretty sure Super Mario Party sold like 20 million units. Yeah, 20.84 million. And so, like, it does pay. It does pay to launch a Mario Party within, like, the first 2 years. I just hope that they do something good. I hope that they, like, honestly, if they just go with the Jamboree...
Yeah, it's just crazy to be thinking about the next Mario Party. When
it's crazy. We just played it.
Like,
we
just... week ago.
Yeah, released, like, like last week. But yeah, it pays, but, like... Also, I don't think they're gonna do anything crazy. I hope they go in the direction of Jamboree. They're just kind of like, let's focus on the main Mario Party gameplay, not any, you know, random stuff that no one, like, really cares about. Like, the freaking river raft game. I don't know anybody who's like, oh yeah, I love the rafting game in Super Mario Party.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't have Super Mario Party.
See, there you go. You don't even know, because Super Mario Party was... just okay, even though I have kind of a fondness for it because I played a lot of it back in the day.
I played a lot of Superstars, but that's about it. And then obviously now I've played a lot of Jamboree. And Jamboree is good with its side modes as well. Like, it does a good separation of them.
Yeah. Next is Mario Sports. Now, I put these all together, and that's... Like, I didn't put, like, oh, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Strikers. Simply because of my own prediction. And that is that I don't think that any of the 3 sports that got... new games on Switch are gonna get another entry on Switch 2. I think none of them really set the world on fire, and that there's backwards compatibility, so you can still play them. They're also not that good, and they don't have a lot of content, and I would just rather they focus on either... I mean, if it were up to me, if they're gonna keep making the sports games like they have been, I would honestly rather they just don't make anything. But I think if they are gonna make more Mario sports games, they should focus on some of the sports that we haven't seen in a while, like a new Mario Sluggers game, or Super Sluggers game.
Yeah,
or even revisit, like, Hoops 3-on-3 from the DS, or something like that. Or maybe even, like, make Mario Sports Superstars, but actually good. Like, I think there's potential, but I just don't want them to do the same, oh, new Mario Tennis game, new Mario Golf game. I mean, Strikers was kind of cool, but it just didn't have enough content, and I'm just worried that's what they're gonna do with these games. But I think seeing, like, or maybe the go back to the what was it, Mario Spikers, Mario Super Spikers or whatever, or it's like volleyball, boxing, like something like that. Do something crazy. Do like make up like your own sport, like your own amalgamation of sports for like a new Mario sports game or something like that.
Mario chess boxing.
Mario chess boxing, exactly. Mario
Donkey Kong move. Trailer opens, Donkey Kong moves his queen to like D4 or some shit. Cuts to Mario. He's like moving his pawn up, and then they freaking stand up, and Donkey Kong just beats the ever-loving shit out of that Italian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if they want to release generic games with not a lot of content, at least make the actual sport itself interesting enough to keep playing, you know?
I have kind of a dirty pleasure for Mario Golf. Whenever I'm feeling down, I just pop in Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color. and I just get to playing, baby. No, but I do like the Mario Golf games besides Super Rush. So, like, my personal hope is that we get a new Mario Golf game, and it is good.
I mean, they could even port the 3DS one. I think I'd be happy with that. The 3DS one was
good.
I
do. Or at least just use it as a base, because that's like the best one. And then you picked it up with Super Rush, bro.
But yeah, I hope they do something unique. I hope that like Strikers kind of did this, where like the game was kind of complex. There was a lot to it, but it still just didn't have any content. Like it was so weird, because with the other sports games, they had like story modes and stuff, and there was all this like random stuff to do in the game that was kind of sort of content. But Mario Strikers just had nothing. It was like, oh, you play online matches, and that's it. So I think if they're gonna be bare bones with the amount of content, at least make the sport itself interesting to where I want to keep playing online. But honestly, I don't want them to waste time on anything if it's gonna be generic. not have content, so we'll see.
Yeah, personally, I mean, like, knowing Nintendo, they'll probably release a Mario sports game year 1 or early year 2, like Tennis Aces was.
Really?
Whatever it ends up being.
You can be that close?
Well, that's just... I mean, I hope not, but that's just what Nintendo does.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, year 2. Like, kind of like... I mean, not to copy the Switch 1, what happened with that, but, I mean, you had Kirby and Mario Tennis, like, pretty much the beginning, like, the first half of the second year the Switch was on. Honestly, I could just see that happening again. New Kirby, new Mario sports game, like...
Completely agreed.
Yeah. Paper Mario is the next one. What's your thoughts on Paper Mario? We have not talked much about Paper Mario, to be honest. So
Sticker
I don't
Star HD remake, day 1 release. No, I will not elaborate. No, I'm kidding.
Launch title is... The big Nintendo launch title is a Sticker Star remake.
The only launch title is Sticker Star HD remake. It's not even in HD, they just call it HD remake, but like when you boot it up, it's just like Citra emulator. You can see the mouse.
No, but for real, what are you thinking about Paper Mario?
I mean, seeing that Mario and Luigi is kind of getting a revival in a sense, I think that we could see a return to traditional Paper Mario, especially with Thousand Year Door getting its remake and that doing well. So I mean,
I think Nintendo kind of they were kind of afraid to make like these games like actually RPGs, but I think they're much more like, okay, well, this is like, we didn't like it, but I feel like they realize now this is what the fans want, and I mean, like, just do it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You made these games for a reason, you know. If you're gonna keep making them, then keep making them.
Yeah. I don't know, because we just got the remake, so I don't think it's gonna be super early. And I also don't think
it's not gonna be super early, but I think it's gonna be a return to form is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I also don't think that Paper Mario is gonna be a huge priority, because I think in Nintendo's eyes, it's gonna sell the same amount regardless of when it comes out, because it's Mario, so it's gonna have that, you know, automatic, oh, the game's gonna do fairly well because it's a Mario game. But it doesn't really matter when it comes out. Like, I think that's why they're releasing all these RPGs, like the Mario RPGs, like Thousand Year Door remake, Mario RPG remake, Mario Luigi Brothership, because they're gonna do, I feel like, similar sales-wise regardless of when it comes out. So I think, like, second half of Switch 2's life for a new Paper Mario. I don't think they're gonna prioritize it at first. Honestly, the only way I could see, like, Paper Mario getting anything on Switch 2 within, like, the first half is if they port Color Splash. I would not be, I would not be completely upset by that, because I kind of like Color Splash. I don't think it's great, but I think it's better than Origami King. I don't know if that's controversial. But I like Color Splash. I wouldn't be upset if they did that. Plus, I think it would actually benefit, because, like, the biggest complaint about Color Splash is the gamepad stuff. So if they, you know, basically got rid of that, I think a lot of the complaints about Color Splash, other than just the fact that it's like generic Paper Mario, would be pretty much fixed.
Yeah. I don't think that's really gonna happen, but, like, I mean...
Yeah, I feel like if they wanted to port Color Splash, they would have already done it.
Honestly?
But
Super Paper Mario remake would be interesting.
That would be interesting. But I also, like... The thing with, like, porting, like, the later games, or, like, remastering, remaking the later games, is that I think Nintendo realizes now, yeah, we should focus more on the RPG elements, but doing that would kind of go against that, so I don't know.
Yeah. I think they'd just make a new one.
Yeah, I think they just make a new one, but it would be, like, second half.
Like, I don't think they waste that time, and they just go, okay, second half.
Yeah.
We get a new one, and it's a return to form. And I think that would be pretty cool.
And speaking of Mario RPGs, what about Mario and Luigi? We don't even have
second
Brothership
half.
yet. We don't even have Brothership yet. It is going to be one of the
not
last.
Not even gonna waste our time with this one. Second half of, like, if it's happening second half.
Yeah, but honestly, on my thing, I wrote down
Year 4+, like.
I wrote down that I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's like, oh, Mario and Luigi Brothership didn't sell that well, so we don't want to make a new one. And it's like, why do you think it didn't sell well? Because it literally was like one of the last Switch games.
We don't even know the game isn't even out.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna see like, oh, this didn't sell the greatest. It didn't sell like 13 million copies. Maybe Mario and Luigi isn't.
It might.
like. I don't want that to happen, and realistically, I don't think it's gonna happen. But that would be such a Nintendo thing
That would be very Nintendo.
It'd be like Mario Luigi Brothers didn't sell like 100 million copies.
What the hell? It wasn't the best selling Switch game.
If we get one second half, honestly though, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. I don't know. I think they're prioritizing Mario and Luigi as a series a lot less.
Yeah, early year 2 Paper Jam remake, and then that'll count for both of the series.
God no, please. Say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so.
Anyways, Luigi's Mansion. How do we feel about Luigi's Mansion?
Spooky and scary. I could see it year 1. Honestly.
That's what I put. I put year 1 or 2, and I only said 1 or 2 simply like so that it can coordinate with Halloween. It's like it's like if the Switch 1 launches in like September or something, if it launches before like the fall, like I personally think the best thing for Switch 2 would be to launch like kind of like late summer, early fall, so that they have like that first little boost of the people wanting to get the system right when it comes out, and then they have like enough consoles made for the holidays. But it's the kind of thing where it's like, if it launches before October 2025, they don't want to have it like immediately after the Switch launches, so it would technically be year 2, but they want to have it early.
I still think that I still think April is when it's going to is when the April around that time.
It really just depends on when the Switch 2 gets announced.
It really depends on the Switch launches. I'm just saying that from the perspective of like if it is early next year, then I could totally see the first Halloween of the
that's basically what I'm saying. The first Halloween, unless it's like right when it comes out, like it would be funny.
Yeah, if it releases in September, it's not.
But if they do what they did for the GameCube and launch the Switch 2 with Luigi's Mansion, that would be so funny. But I don't think they're gonna do that.
Switch 2 launches October 31st with Luigi's Mansion 5.
And like, I feel like the only reason why we're so confident is because Luigi's Mansion 3 sold like crazy. Like that still surprises me.
It's not going to be as long of a wait, and it's already been. It's already
been longer between Dark Moon, I think. And no, it won't. It's not. It hasn't been. It's getting close though.
Yeah.
By the time the Switch 2 launches, it'll be the wait between Dark Moon and 3 will be longer, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have it basically done, and at this point, they're just like, should we make it a launch title, or should we just wait for Halloween? And I feel like what they're gonna do is just wait for Halloween. I wouldn't be surprised if they're sitting on it.
Then that begs the question, but like, why do a Dark Moon remaster then in 2024? Is that supposed to tide the fans over, or do they want a bit more time? Or, could they even consider, like, porting or remaking the first game to come out in, like, the first year, and then waiting a little bit for 4, and just having the whole series available on Switch 2 via backwards compatibility?
I can totally see that.
And I think there's a lot of things they could do with Luigi's Mansion, but I think, like, we can both agree that we'll get something within the first, like, 2 years.
I honestly think first year, unless it's like a really weird scheduling conflict kind of thing. But I definitely early on, I'm thinking.
Yeah, like if it launches in September, I don't think like they want Luigi's Mansion as like the second game, like the second big game for Switch 2.
The second game.
I mean, and this is assuming that it's gonna launch around Halloween, but like, I feel like that's what's gonna happen. I feel like they'll want to do that.
It's kind of like always what they do.
Yeah, I mean, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD didn't, but that was also like a port, and I just don't think they cared that much. I don't think they were like, I don't think they wanted to wait that much.
Luigi's Mansion game, I feel like they're just gonna,
just don't launch it on Halloween like they did with Luigi's Mansion 3, because then, like, you play it, you get maybe like a few hours with the game, if you buy it on launch day, and then Halloween season's over, and you're freaking hearing Christmas music already. It's like, this is the mood I want to be in while playing Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. I can't be jolly while playing Luigi's Mansion. I need to be pissing my pants, man. I gotta be pissing. Come on.
That is the only time I play Luigi's Mansion. I have a switch in the bathroom just for the occasion.
You beat me to it.
Okay. Dr. Mario. How do we feel about Dr. Mario? What's your stance?
Total bathroom game. No.
Total bathroom game.
Let's think. Oh, we didn't even get anything on the Switch. So
nope, we got Dr. Mario World on mobile devices, and it's already been shut down. So,
at this point, do they even want to make more Dr. Mario? Because I feel like they kind of don't.
Yeah, I don't think they want to. I don't think they really care that much.
I feel like it's less of a when will it release on the next console, and more of if the series even has any more staying power.
You know what I would think would be cool though is if they made Dr. Mario 99.
Chat!
Yeah, I think that would go kind of crazy. I think that would be such a cool idea.
I feel like for like an online members kind of like only thing of like a free Dr. Mario game, because like when you're pricing it at like a full price game, or like
Dr.
just putting
Mario,
it at
like
retail,
all the entries have been the same.
It's not gonna be.
Dr. Mario on WiiWare is just online, or is just RX from DS, and then Miracle Cure is just the WiiWare game, and then Dr. Luigi is just also the WiiWare game, but with only Luigi in it. Like, they're all the same. They're all the same game. You think we're gonna get a sequel to the Year of Luigi during Switch 2?
The Year of Waluigi?
That, honestly, like, I think if Nintendo did do that, they would have people behind them.
Dude, and if the Year of Waluigi started off with him getting into Smash...
Oh, that would be crazy. I think we're getting kind of off topic though. Dr. Mario, not likely unless they do like a 99 game.
Unless they do Dr. Waluigi, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Waluigi.
I think Dr. Waluigi launch title for $60. It's just Dr. Mario but with Waluigi, but everybody will buy it and nobody will complain.
Do you get W-shaped pills?
Because it's a W.
Exactly. Dr. Luigi got L-shaped pills because it's an L. Speaking of bad games. What about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games?
Year 4.
I put none. I think Mario and Sonic, like, who likes them? I mean, like,
I wonder when a new Mario and Sonic game will release. It's not like the world has kind of a calendar for these things.
I know. Well, okay. I think the question is more of
if it happens, it's year 4.
If they will continue it. Because I feel like
the question is if they'll continue it, but
I feel like if they were gonna do, like, I feel like it would have made sense to make one this year. Not gonna lie, because the Olympics were like actually back this year, and it was pretty big. Like I know a lot. It was the Olympics were pretty big this year, and like it's the kind of thing where it's like kind of late in the console's life. So like, I feel like Mario and Sonic has the same kind of thing as like some of the Mario RPGs, where like it doesn't really matter when you launch it. It's probably gonna do similarly sales wise. So I feel like if they were gonna do it, they would have done one for this year. I just don't think they care enough. I don't think they want to waste resources on that.
Yeah, I feel like they stopped giving a shit. I mean, I could see them doing it for 2028 Olympics, so obviously that would be year 4 if they did it.
Or they could go back to they could go back to the Winter Games. They could do it in 2026.
That's true. That's true.
But then it would probably have to launch in 2025, which means it would be launch year. And I don't know how I feel about that. That scares me.
Yeah. Year 1. Mario.
We'll move on to Yoshi. I think that Yoshi is a year 2 or 3 game. It's like Yoshi is it's like a constant with Nintendo. So I don't think they're like, it's not one of their big series though, so I don't think they're gonna super prioritize it. The only way I could see a Yoshi game coming out earlier than like year 2 or 3, most likely year 3, is if they maybe port Woolly World. Because that's another big Wii U game that never came over. Maybe they port Woolly World in like the first year or 2. I wouldn't be upset by that, honestly.
Yeah, and Woolly World is weird with its porting history because it really did.
Yeah, they could add the content from the 3DS version too, so there would be even more of a reason to do that.
You know, from the big screen to that like the little like ring-shaped freaking thing that the.
I think we both feel pretty similar about Yoshi.
Yeah, Yoshi, double Yoshi Explosion, mother.
Double Yoshi Explosion.
Double Yoshi Explosion. Yeah, I mean, like, Crafted World was Crafted World.
It was alright.
Like, if they're gonna do, I mean, if they do a new Yoshi game, I mean, like, I guess it could be early on, but like, I don't have any, no thought head empty, honestly. Like,
yeah,
let's leave this one to the professionals.
Let's leave this to Nintendo. All right, now what about Donkey Kong Country?
I think the Ape game releases year one.
Really? With Returns HD coming out in a few months?
We have to remember, Florida. No other context. No.
What about Florida? Like... What?
Florida. You know, new Universal Park. You have Super Nintendo World, and that has, and like, here's the thing, because this is the third Super Nintendo World opening, and Super Nintendo World is so far only comprised of the Super Mario area, but with the one in Florida opening, it's Super Mario area and the Donkey Kong area. And what's the Donkey Kong area called?
Donkey Kong Country.
Yup. You have a whole coaster that's gonna be a freaking Donkey Kong Country coaster. Like, I just feel like they're setting something up. And especially, I feel like this is, with DKC Returns HD, I feel like it's just building hype. I feel like it's gonna, maybe not first year, but I feel like early on, I feel like we're gonna get something new. Because it's been a bit since Tropical Freeze.
Oh, it's been
and I feel like
bit.
Even with... It's been a bit. Yeah, and it's like, even with the port, it's still just a port, so it could easily just be to rev up hype, and give something to release around the time that we're getting a whole theme park based off of Donkey Kong Country. Which is still crazy to think about.
It really is.
I really think you gotta release a brand new thing early on. I really think it's year one.
That's an interesting take. I agree with all, like, the hype stuff, with, like, the hype cycle and all that of Donkey Kong, but I think that only makes my theory about a Mario and Donkey Kong 3D platformer have more behind it. What I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen.
It depends on if it's lumped together with that, because if it's lumped together with that, then I feel like that would still count as a kind of Donkey Kong Country-esque thing, if it's a lot like 64.
Yeah. Imagine if it's, like, basically like a Mario and like Donkey Kong Country collab where you're like visiting areas in like the Donkey Kong, games, whatever you have, like the jungle. I don't know, whatever.
My favorite Donkey Kong location, the jungle.
You have the jungle, like you have, the Donkey Kong side of things, and then you have like the Mario side of things, and you have like them going into like each other's games kind of when it comes to like I don't know, I think that could be a cool thing to have, to kind of, like, combine them. But...
You think they'll play Welcome to the Jungle?
Welcome to the Jungle! Bro, imagine, like, the Mario movie 2, or, like, the sequel is more of, like, a Donkey Kong movie. It's more of a Donkey Kong movie, and then the opening is Welcome to the Jungle! We're jumping in.
And it's him like getting out of bed, getting ready for the day. That's the scene. And then what's his name? Who voices Donkey Kong?
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. And then Seth Rogen's like, it's Donkey Kong and
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Ooh, black and yellow, shake it up a little. We're getting a bit off track. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna have the Mario and Donkey Kong collab game for the next 3D Mario, but DKC Returns is actually there to gauge whether or not they think they should make a new 2D Donkey Kong Country game, and they're gonna gauge this. They're gonna use DKC Returns to kind of gauge that, and they're gonna send it to a new company, not Retro Studios, because they're still finishing up Prime 4.
I got that work cut out for them over there.
Yeah, I know. I don't think if I were Nintendo, I wouldn't hand them Donkey Kong right after the development hell that was Metroid Prime 4. But I think a new company is gonna take Donkey Kong Country, or if they do it, but I think like no matter what, it's probably gonna be second half of the console's life. Because I think they're going to use DKC Returns HD as a gauge.
I agree. I think that could... Yeah, I still feel like early on. I'm thinking year one, but I could see 2 or 3.
Yeah, I have
Honestly,
second half.
I'm kind of thinking more 2 now.
I'm thinking second half of a...
Interesting.
because I don't think they need time to make a new game.
That's true.
Regardless of whether or not Retro is making it, they're still gonna need time.
Mm-hmm.
And I doubt they've started on anything yet, unless it would be funny. I don't think they're gonna. It'd be funny if instead we got like a new exclusively 3D Donkey Kong game from the Mario Odyssey team, and
that would be
3D Mario gets nothing.
3D. We launched with 3D Donkey Kong. That would be so funny.
All right. So the next is Mario versus Donkey Kong. What are we thinking here?
First they were teaming up, now they're fighting each other.
I think we're not going to get anything new for this series, but if they're going to do anything with the series, I would like them to do a remake in the style of the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake of Donkey Kong 94. Mm-hmm. Maybe this time don't charge $50, make it like an eShop game or something. Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't want anything from this series. I don't think we're going to get anything from this series, especially since the only thing we got on Switch 2 on Switch 1 was a remake. So for Switch 2, probably nothing. But if they did a remake of Donkey Kong 94, I don't know. I'd be kind of happy with that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Your thoughts?
Head empty.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the only reason why they remade the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong was because of the Mario movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think they would have made it otherwise.
That movie did have Mario in it, and it also had Donkey Kong in it. So, I don't know. I feel like they haven't had any real interest in wanting to do anything with the series in a while, other than that remake. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, this one is a pipe dream, and there's a lot of assumptions behind my reasoning here. But what about a new Wario Land game? I'm thinking year 2 or 3. Now, hear me out. I think Nintendo wants to do more with Wario because they made 2 WarioWare games on Switch. When it comes to the Mario movie sequel, or like whatever, what if they have Wario in it? And then they're like, oh, well, Wario needs a new game. But they don't want to make just a WarioWare game. So they make a new Wario Land or remake an old one to gauge interest for the series. I just have a feeling about this. I have a feeling. I don't know why Wario Land is speaking to me.
As it always does.
It always does.
It always comes back to good old Wario Land. I see. Okay. See, it's been a bit since the last Wario Land game, so like I could see a return to the series, and I do, sort of. I mean, I do like those games a lot, and especially with. I mean, I hate to say it because this game is so like embedded into brain rot that I just don't. But Pizza Tower,
yeah.
We've seen how good that's done, and I'm sure that Nintendo's seen how good it's done, especially with it coming to Switch recently.
That's true. I didn't even think about Pizza Tower when writing this.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's so heavily inspired by Wario Land that it's like, I could see them seeing that and seeing the appeal of it and the want for a new Wario Land game and going forth with making it. I think the big question is if they're making it or not. And so I could see it releasing around the time of the second Mario movie, like you were saying. So the real question is when the second Mario movie is releasing, which I believe is next year, so I could see it in year 1.
Is it? When is... I thought they said like 2026.
Yeah, look it up.
When is the Mario movie 2? Because I think they didn't say an exact date. Yeah. Wait, is this an actual date?
I think they said
April
an
3rd,
exact date.
April 3rd, 2026.
We'll see if that sticks, but that is what they said. So
I think that
it
can only get delayed, right? I don't think it's going to come out earlier than that. So honestly, yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could.
Depending, I mean, well, if the Switch 2 releases holiday season, then that could still be a year 1 thing. But I'm still sticking.
I don't think it's going to come out like right alongside the movie though, because I mean, even look at Mario vs. Donkey Kong. That came out almost a year after the movie came out.
That's true.
But I do think pretty early on. Within the first, 2 or 3 years.
And this is all just kind of assuming Wario's going to.
This is a lot of like assumptions we're making here. So
yeah, it's
take everything with a grain of salt.
It's very weird. I think the most logical thing, if we're looking at this series, is just like it certainly makes sense that they would make a new one with keeping Pizza Tower in mind specifically, but it just depends on when they go through with it, which I think it could be an early title in the, console's lifespan. So,
What about WarioWare?
Where is Wario?
Where did he go?
WarioWare? WarioWare?
I'm thinking like second half. Because, I mean, think about it. We got 2 WarioWare games on Switch, and they were both in the second half. I think it's the kind of thing similarly to the Mario RPGs, where, like, I don't think it really matters when it's going to come out. It's going to sell, like, a similar amount.
Yeah, they just kind of...
I say all this, but, like, if these kind of games, like, all these games that I'm talking about saying, like, oh, it doesn't really matter when it launches, it's going to sell a similar amount. I think the only way I see them, like, selling more is if it's, like, year 1. But again, like, why would you prioritize WarioWare in year 1? Why would you prioritize Paper Mario year 1, You want the heavy hitter stuff before that. See, I'm thinking second half. I don't think there's much they could do with it if the Switch 2 is pretty similar to the Switch 1 in terms of like hardware.
Yeah.
So unless the Joy-Cons have new
WarioWare has always been that series to like make use of a funky new controller kind of thing.
Exactly. And with the Switch though, they still don't really do that because like Wario Land.
Well, they didn't really do that, but they also didn't really have to, just because the Switch wasn't really a funky new controller. It was more like a funk. I mean, it was, but it was like the whole point of it was that it could do basically everything you wanted it to. So it was all stuff WarioWare had tackled before.
I think Get It Together was a pretty good use of the hardware. Similarly, like passing the Joy-Con to the friend, playing together. Yeah. I think we can agree like second half, right?
Yeah.
Now these next two, I think we're gonna talk about for a hot minute. With the first one being Metroid. I don't think you're really that big of a Metroid fan, are you?
Day 1.
Oh, okay.
Launch title.
You're talking like Metroid Prime 4? Or like...
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I think that would be the smartest move. Because, like, Metroid Prime 4, it's a graphical showcase, it's gonna look a lot better on Switch 2. It's the kind of thing where, again, like Breath of the Wild was, it's a pretty hardcore title, so I feel like a lot of people who are going to buy a Switch 2 at launch are going to be the same people who are going to want to play Metroid Prime 4. I think it's a smart move. However, I don't know. I think they would have... I think if it was going to launch on Switch 2, they would have waited to like fully unveil the game again. They would have waited a little bit more. Or at least said, oh, this is going to be on the next console. Because that's what they did with Breath of the Wild. It kept getting delayed and pushed back, and right when we were starting to get all this info about it was when they said, hey, this is gonna be on the next console as well. But they didn't do that, and it makes me...
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that the game will release the same day as the next console. I'm just saying that I feel like if it does, it does, right? It's either that or it releases on Switch before Switch 2, and a version of it is on
like
Switch
an upgraded version.
Because it is so like at this point it's such a gonna be such a graphical showcase and such a long-awaited like thing that's
true.
And even if it does release on Switch and then Switch 2 releases after it's backwards compatibility can only go so far. I don't see a world where we don't have Metroid Prime 4 as a dual release. Sort of like how like Miles Morales was, where it's like you can just pop in the PS4 version. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying with upgrading, right? Where it's like maybe you could upgrade your Switch copy to be a Switch 2 copy, depending on how they do that, if they actually do that. But, like, I feel like it can kind of be that thing where it's, like, it's a launch title, because I feel like it just kind of has to be.
Yeah, and honestly, I think releasing simultaneously, like at the same time, kind of like Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess thing, I think that would do a lot because, like, launching the new console with a Metroid game would be kind of crazy. I think, like, it makes sense.
And at this point, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, it makes so much sense, but I don't know. I'm just not getting the vibe from it. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to simultaneously release it if the Switch 2 one is like a different version, because backwards compatibility, it's like, and sure, Twilight Princess was backwards compatible, but also those games are pretty different because the Wii version of Twilight Princess has motion controls, and I'm pretty sure it was in widescreen too, yeah. It had widescreen support. So it was like more than just graphics, like it was a superior version or a different version in more ways. So like there's kind of like, oh, well, you could get the GameCube version because it's like the original take on the game, or you could get the Wii version because, like, you know, they're a lot more different than I feel like Metroid Prime 4 would be. So I don't know.
I still think it's entirely possible that, like, it's not simultaneous. It releases on Switch, and then later another version of it releases a few months later alongside with Switch 2.
Are you saying, like, at launch still?
Yeah, like launch day with Switch 2.
Because then Nintendo would have, like, 3D Mario, and then Metroid Prime 4 as, like, a little, like, the upgrade as, like, a little side thing. But it also might get people to buy the game if, you know, they see, wow, this game looks so good on Switch 2. And yeah, it's a Switch game, but I didn't play the Switch game because it came out super late in the console's life. So wow, now I have more of a reason to buy it, you know?
Yeah, it came out, like, 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
It's the kind of thing where it's, like,
but
it's on Switch because we promised it'll be on Switch, or you can wait a bit and get it on.
And I think that's what they did with Twilight Princess as well. I don't think it was simultaneous. I think it was like a month. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think it was simultaneous with Twilight Princess.
But it was the opposite, I think, where it released.
Released
like
on
Wii.
Wii, and then I think.
And then they released the GameCube one later.
Yeah,
and the only reason they didn't do that with Breath of the Wild is because Wii U was such a flop that they were just like, everyone's getting the Switch version. Let's just throw it on the same day and just be done with this console. Not have to think about it any longer.
Yeah.
Just, we kept our promise, now get out of here.
Yeah. But I think if Metroid Prime 4 isn't on Switch 2 at all, other than backwards compatibility, of course, I don't think we're going to see another Metroid Prime game. I don't know if the Metroid Prime series will continue. I think it depends on what happens in Prime 4. They're trying to set up more of a storyline for another game. That could be cool, but again, we still don't know a lot about the game at this point, so it's really hard to say. But
which is another reason why I think it's going to be a Switch 2 launch title.
That's true, because
we really,
especially if we have not seen a lot. I think especially if they want to.
I think the next big, especially if they announce the Switch 2, within like the week.
I wonder if it'll be like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where like they show it off and they like have it as like a showcase for the new features of the console, and they just have it in the background. You know the trailers I'm talking about for Switch 1, but they don't really they don't really say anything about it, and then later on they're like, oh yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is going to have an upgrade for Switch 2 with the better graphics. I think that's a good way to approach it. Or
it will be, depending on when the Switch 2 releases, it will just be simultaneous.
Yeah, and I didn't split them up. I probably should have, honestly, because Metroid Prime and 2D Metroid are really different. But 2D Metroid, I'm thinking like year 2 or 3. I mean, if you think about it, Mercury Steam released Metroid Prime, or not Metroid Prime, Metroid Samus Returns in 2017, and then Dread in 2021. That's 4 years. By this time next year, it'll have been more than 4 years between Dread and the new game, which is kind of crazy to think about, because it felt like the drought, but it felt like between Samus Returns and Dread was so long, but it really wasn't that long.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel
it's
nearly
also just
as
different
long
because Samus Returns was a remake.
Honestly though, I could see Mercury Steam putting out a game pretty early. I think Metroid doesn't really need to do anything too crazy. I think they can keep releasing them because Metroidvanias are still really big within like the whole game, within the gaming industry as a whole. I think they can just make a new Metroid game, and obviously they're going to do new things with it, but it doesn't have to reinvent the series or anything. It can just be a new Metroid game, and I hope that they do prioritize making a new game or a remake of something. Just because I think, like, what else does Mercury Steam even work on?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
Yeah.
I think generally Metroid just, like, It's gonna have an early presence.
I hope so, at least. I hope the series doesn't die again. And now to the second one that we're gonna talk for a while on. You want to guess what it is?
All right, I have thoughts. I have big.
Oh, you already
thoughts.
know what it is because you have the list. You have the order on the list.
I have the list.
It's Pikmin. It's Pikmin, guys. What are we thinking about Pikmin?
Guys, it's Pikmin. I love Pikmin.
Hey Pikmin,
I love it.
Hey Pikmin remake coming out as a Switch 2 launch title.
I have thoughts. I have big thoughts. So first and foremost, we're gonna get a spin-off. There have been a lot of rumors about a potential Pikmin spin-off. Here's the thing. Vantage Emblem actually has a really great video on this topic. I would highly suggest going to look at that.
I'll link it. I don't know the video that's being talked about, but I will link it.
That's a video that kind of goes over a lot of what a Pikmin spin-off could be like. And I think there's some really great ideas shared there, and I feel like with all the rumors and quote-unquote leaks, I'm not sure if any of it has any substance. But I feel like a Pikmin spin-off is likely, especially with this push that we've been seeing from Nintendo to really make Pikmin more popular. I mean, like, I didn't even know this. Did you know that the freaking... Which zoo was it? There was a zoo somewhere that had a freaking Pikmin collab.
Really?
Yeah, hang on, I gotta look this up.
I know they had the Kung Fu Tea collab. I actually have... That was like over a year ago. I have the cup. I wash it out, don't worry.
San Diego Zoo, that's what it is.
Oh yeah, you did tell me about that.
Yeah,
I have the Pikmin cup from Kung Fu Tea still. I literally have it sitting over there. I'm a sane Pikmin fan.
I have a freaking Pikmin 4 Capri Sun still sealed on my shelf. They've been doing stuff like this. They've been pushing for this. And
there's been a lot of Pikmin collabs, and I think they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do all this after Pikmin 4's release unless they're cooking something up.
Yeah, and so I feel like a spin-off to expand the franchise is in order here.
And I think if they I mean, honestly, I could say like even year 1 or year 2 if they're gonna go the spin-off route.
Yeah.
Especially if it's gonna be made by a different like developer.
If you're going the spin-off route. My big thing with just saying year 2 or 3 is because of how recent Pikmin 4 is. Like, they need time.
That's true.
So I mean, like, Pikmin 4 was only a year ago, so, you know, when we're talking about year 2 of this new console, that'll be like a 3-year wait, which, you know, would be one of the best waits in Pikmin history.
Yeah, I mean, that's still even shorter than between Pikmin 3 and Hey Pikmin.
Yeah, or even like Hey Pikmin and 3 Deluxe. I guess the shortest wait would be 3 Deluxe and Bloom.
Yeah, but does that really count?
But does it really count? Yeah. I'd say, not counting that for obvious reasons, I'd say, you know, the shortest wait is obviously 1 and 2, which was 2 years. So I'd say, like, getting back to that standard, especially if they're reusing assets for this, would be cool. Like, I've seen ideas of, like, what if it's a spin-off where it's moss on the planet? What if it's, like, they take the idea from Hey Pikmin of the, you know, the Pikmin... why is it slipping out of my brain? I just made a whole freaking video essay on this game. The Pikmin Park. They take the Pikmin Park and have it be, like, a little...
Or what if they made, like, a Pikmin, like...
building.
Made, like, a Pikmin cave builder based off Pikmin 4.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. There's a lot they could do with, like, a Pikmin spinoff.
Yeah, Pikmin Maker is something that I've been, like, it's been a pipe dream for me. I would love a Pikmin Maker of some sort. And I might make a video on this, so I won't go too deep into, like, my pitch.
Honestly, though, like,
because
when it comes to Maker stuff like this, I'm not really confident Nintendo's gonna do any of that, because Zelda Echoes of Wisdom was originally being made as a Zelda Maker, and they just couldn't do it.
Oh no, they're never gonna do it.
They couldn't.
They're never gonna do it.
They just made a new game instead, which I'm not gonna complain about, but I think that's just kind of funny.
Yeah, no, they would never do it. I just have a lot of ideas for a Pikmin Maker, so I think it would be a fun video to, like, pitch one, knowing that it would never happen. Yeah. So I'm not gonna share my ideas, because I do have a lot of ideas for that, and, you know, I wish it would happen, but my point is, we might see something like that, even if it's just like a cave editor kind of thing.
in terms of like the main series, I don't think it's gonna be first. I think it'll be like second half of the console's life.
Oh yeah, well, main series is gonna be second half, but I feel like
it'll be hopefully a little bit earlier.
Since it's likely we get a spin-off, and I feel like we're gonna get an early spin-off to tide people over. Hopefully, an actually good one.
Next up is Pokemon. Now I have a bunch of Pokemon different like sub-series on here. Some of them aren't meant to be taken completely seriously, but pretty much everything I have on here at least got an entry on Switch. But main series, I mean, year 1 or 2. Like that's like the most obvious thing.
In terms of Gen 10?
Yeah. Okay, there's leaks out here. I don't want to discuss the leaks too much. I don't.
Oh, I guess that is true. I haven't seen a lot of the leaks.
The leaks are kind of saying that Gen 10 is like pretty deep in development already. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like they kind of do the same thing they did with Legends Arceus, and they release Legends ZA, and then like a little bit like the game barely gets to breathe, and they're already like, here's the next generation. I feel like they're gonna do something like that again.
I remember when freaking Legends Arceus released, and I was like, should I get it or should I not get it? I don't know.
You didn't even have time to decide. They announced a new generation.
I didn't even have time to process that this game had released or what it even was, because I just wasn't keeping up with Pokemon. And then I tune into a freaking Pokemon Presents, and it's like, are those the new starters? Is that a duck?
Is that a duck and a cat? Yeah.
That's a duck and a cat and a croc.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna... Again, I don't want to talk too much about the leaks. I mean, there's not really much to discuss when it comes to Gen 10 leaks, but we know they're working on it, is the thing. But yeah, I mean, Pokemon main series, it's kind of a minefield out here. I don't want to discuss any of that. But I mean, even without the leaks, I think we can still assume like year 1 or 2 is a given. But next is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I don't think Pokemon...
I think that they're going to put Red Rescue Team on Nintendo Switch Online.
Really?
I think that's what they're gonna do.
Did you see that Pokemon Red Rescue Team is coming to Nintendo Switch Online?
Really? It is?
Really? I can't believe it.
Really? I didn't hear anything about that ever. I never heard a single thing actually. Where did you see? Was this a part of the big leak?
It was a part of the Terra leak.
It was a part of the Terra leak.
Game Freak.
Guys, I heard that Red Rescue Team's coming to Switch Online.
It got leaked and Game Freak gave up. They just decided to launch it early. No, but I don't think Pokemon really cares about Mystery Dungeon anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
Other than Red Rescue Team getting glazed up on Nintendo Switch Online. They probably don't really care.
I don't think we're gonna see a new game. Honestly, it would be cool to get like a remake of like Explorers of Sky or something. But I don't know. I don't think we're gonna see much. I don't think they really care anymore. Which, speaking of Pokemon not really caring anymore, Pokemon Rumble. I only put this on here because Pokemon Rumble has been like such a big thing on like basically every Nintendo console since the Wii. Except the Switch did not get one, but mobile got one, and the game did horribly, so I don't think we're gonna see anything.
It did?
Yeah, it failed, like, horribly.
When was this?
Did you not know there was a Pokemon Rumble mobile game?
No, I had no idea.
And there's the issue right there. It was in, like, 2019, I think? 2020, maybe? It released in May 2019.
Still up, is it?
No, it's been discontinued. It shut down in July 2020. It lasted a little bit over a year. But it was announced to be shutting down in April 2020, so it didn't even last a year. I think Nintendo has realized that this series, nobody really cares. I only care about the first one because it has shinies in it. I don't think Pokemon Rumble's anything's happening with it, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, depending on your outlook on the series. Speaking of fortunately not getting any more entries, Detective Pikachu! I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
He sure did return, didn't he?
The second game felt really rushed. I didn't even play it, but like,
yeah,
the announcement and like it came out, and I feel like nobody talked about it, and there was like basically no marketing. I think they just kind of wanted to get it out and get it over with, and just move on. I don't think they care anymore. The game also graphically looked horrible. I didn't play the first one either, and I heard okay things about it, but, like, does anyone actually care about Detective Pikachu? I don't think so.
I don't think anybody actually cares about Detective Pikachu. And wasn't the whole thing of, like, oh, they just wanted to finish the story, and they did,
yeah.
so...
Yeah, they did it. Because at first they didn't even say that it was going to be a sequel. They just said they wanted to finish the story. So it was unclear whether or not it was going to be like a port with like an extra chapter or something like Ace Attorney or whatever. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see anymore.
He sure did return, and as soon as he did, he's out.
He's out of here. This next one though, I would be interested in seeing return. Pokken Tournament. I think the only thing holding this back from getting a new game is just the fact that like it's not made by like the Pokemon Company really or Game Freak at all. And it was originally an arcade game. I feel like the arcade game would have to get a sequel first. But I would like to see a sequel to Pokken Tournament, or even just like, I mean, it would be kind of silly, but even if they just like made like a deluxe version of the deluxe version. Like I think, like I never got super into Pokken Tournament, but I think it has a lot of potential as like a Pokemon fighting game, and I would like to see it expanded upon. Though I don't think they're gonna.
Unite exists.
I didn't even think about Unite. I
feel like that's kind of just replaced it.
Yeah, I don't think Unite's gonna get a sequel. I think it's just gonna be on Switch too. Like,
it's just gonna keep going.
Just a port of it.
I'm not saying it should have been on the list.
Yeah.
It's just gonna keep going. I'm not saying it should have been on the list as a franchise. It's just Pokemon Unite. I'm just saying I think that's a big knock against Pokemon Tournament for getting a new thing.
Yeah.
Even though they are very different, I just think and especially since it was a Tekken crossover, it's just like I don't think they're gonna.
I mean, calling it a Tekken crossover is kind of a stretch, but like it was basically like the mechanics crossed over.
I mean, it's right in the name. I agree with you. Like it is a stretch, but I mean like in terms of making a new game, it's in its DNA, despite how much it isn't. You know, it's like at this point, it's kind of just like, it could happen, but I just don't. I feel like it was kind of a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Pokemon spin-offs, they would rather focus on crappy mobile games than actually do anything interesting, and then just put those mobile games on Switch. And finally, for Pokemon Snap, which I only brought up because new Pokemon Snap was like, I mean, really, it was one of the only Pokemon spin-offs on Switch that was one original. In two
full price game.
It was like a full price game. I mean, the only thing I can think of are like Pokken Tournament DX, which was a port, and then Mystery Dungeon DX, which was a remake. But like I think new Pokemon Snap was like the only original Pokemon thing we got that wasn't like a mobile game or that was just on Switch.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something, but yeah, I think the Pokemon Company was expecting new Pokemon Snap to do better, especially since people were so excited when it was announced. But it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, we need a new Pokemon Snap game, and it's like, do we really though?
New Pokemon Snap? Where's new Pokemon Snap? That's all well and good, but we need new Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I think it just. What can you do with with Pokemon Snap? Really, it's not that big of a thing.
You got Pokemon, you snapped.
I think what we got with new Pokemon Snap was a pretty good. I mean, like, it brought it into the modern age. We saw a lot of the newer Pokemon that you could take pictures of and stuff instead of, like, just Gen 1. So, yeah, I think we kind of got our fill. I don't think they're going to continue the series, at least for, like, a while. Maybe in, like,
the most memorable part of new Pokemon Snap... The most memorable part of new Pokemon Snap for me was there was this one time I had a dream that they released new Pokemon Snap, but it was like in multiple DLC packs for like $20 each, and there were like 8 of them, but they were all separate game releases. It was a weird dream.
That reminds me of this dream I had once.
My freaking Family Guy cutaway game. Hey Loris, I'm playing Pokemon Snap. Do you think Peter Griffin's ever played a Pokemon game before?
He's got it.
Other than Pokemon Snap.
Because we know he has.
We knew. I've talked to him personally. He said he played new Pokemon Snap, but I forgot to ask him if he's played like Scarlet and Violet or Arceus or something.
I mean, I feel like he's
gotta have.
I feel like he's played Pokemon Go, definitely.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But I don't know about main series. He seems like a Sun and Moon type of guy.
He would play Sun and Moon, honestly.
Moving on. Next up, we have Splatoon, which is another one I think we're going to be talking about for a while, so strap in. Now, I don't want to go too deep into my idea here, because I think it's something I could make its own video about. But I think that for the next Splatoon game, they should focus on it being, like, more of, like, a live service thing, and having it continuously get updated throughout like the entire console's life. But still, even considering that, I do think that the next Splatoon game is going to come out within like the first year or two. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but Splatoon 3 just ended. Why would they like immediately do that? Especially since backwards compatibility. But like, literally like the wait between the final update of Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 launching was like a year. And I think it'll be a little bit more than that before Splatoon 4 comes out. But I do think it'll be a lot quicker than I guess it would have been like more than 3 years between the last update for Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 coming out.
Right. And I feel like they've definitely started working on Splatoon 4. Because Splatoon 3 is still getting updates, but they're doing a Splatfest for like seasonally, I think. They're doing like one for Halloween, one for like Easter, one for Christmas or whatever. They're doing like the big event ones, but that's it.
Yeah, and I think like Splatoon 3, like I think Splatoon 3's updates were very lackluster, and a lot of them didn't add a whole lot. Like, I feel like in some ways Splatoon 3, even after all the updates, is still missing a ton of content from Splatoon 2, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's kind of a good thing, because it's like, yeah, Splatoon 3, like, kind of didn't need to exist, but I'm glad it came out. But also, I feel like I had my fill with it anyways. From like the first like year of updates, I'm kind of glad that it kind of slowed down, because I feel like that means they're working on a new game, which I don't want them to do the same thing they did with Splatoon 3 for Splatoon 4. I want them to make a new game for the new console and then just support that for the entire console's life instead of having to make a new game and do all this. I think that's a smart move. So I'm not entirely upset about Splatoon 3's for like last few updates being kind of small, as long as that means Splatoon 4 is going to come out pretty soon, you know?
Right. And I just hope they do something big and different, and I feel like they will with the final Splatfest, the Grand Fest, and like, you know.
And that also kind of begs the question of like, oh, well, if that Splatfest is going to decide the future of the series and the direction the new game takes, I mean, that just happened like a month ago. So, like,
right.
They're gonna need more time than that, right? Well, I'm sure Nintendo is focusing more on the new mechanics they're gonna add, and then it's gonna worry more about the setting and the story starting like last month after the Splatfest ended.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like the Splatoon team is definitely shit. Like, there's probably a few people working on Splatoon 3, and it's like.
But most of the Splatoon team is working on the new game. Even in like the last year of Splatoon 3 updates, I wouldn't be surprised if they were still working on the new game.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about. I don't think it'll be a year 1.
Yeah, that's why I said like year 1 or 2.
I think 2, maybe 3, but I feel like 2 is a good estimate.
Especially since like backwards compatibility, a big reason why Splatoon 2, and it's kind of the same thing with like Mario Maker, I think. A big reason why Splatoon 2 came out so early and was like, you know, such a big thing they were emphasizing was because they just wanted this successful Wii U game on the new console. But they don't really need that anymore because there's backwards compatibility. So I think they can take their time a little bit, but they still wanted to come out kind of early.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Splatoon, it needs a big refresh, because like Splatoon 3 was a huge step, and it was really, like, it felt like it was expanding the franchise so much, but it also felt like it was held back by precedents set. Like, they added so much freaking stuff with like new specials and new sub weapons and new main weapons that it's like there weren't any good kits in that game. Like, nobody was happy. Nobody had a good kit because everybody had a different, like, this is my favorite sub, this is my favorite special, this is my favorite main.
And then most of the new weapons, most of the new kits were the new stuff they were adding.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, unless you got real lucky with like the kit that released in the beginning of the game for your weapon, it's like you never got the thing you wanted to actually, like. So I think moving forward in Splatoon 4, it would be cool if they did, like, you selected your main, you selected your sub, you selected your special kind of thing. And, you know, that's getting a bit off topic from the just like when it'll release. But my point here is, I think generally speaking, there's a lot of stuff like that in Splatoon 3 where it's just like, at this point, everything that's in Splatoon is getting so clogged that the style of gameplay they have gone with doesn't really make sense anymore. So I think they're going to have to redo a lot. So I think it's going to be year 2, maybe even year 3. The more I'm thinking about it, probably year 3, honestly. Because
yeah, now that I think about it more, I feel like, especially with the whole like backwards compatibility, I think they can take more time.
Yeah,
to get it out.
I feel like it's going to be a big, different step into it, and so I feel like the story's going to be more grand in scope, with it probably focusing on the past of the Splatoon universe, right? Since that is what won. And, I mean, we can obviously save a lot of this discussion for another day, but...
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about what I think is going to be in the new game, because I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to see and what I think they're going to do and all this. But I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like it's its own video that could be made.
I think generally, all that we really need to say here is there is so much, like, it looks like it's going to be such a grand game in terms of scale, so it's just like, it's probably going to be a little later. Like, I'm thinking early year 3 maybe. We'll get our Splatoon 4 or whatever the next Splatoon game ends up being called.
Now, another kind of controversial one, not controversial, but like a one where I'm really unsure and it depends on a lot of things. Smash. Okay, so editing MJ here, I just wanted to clarify. Now, we're talking about the Smash section right now, and I brought up the Sakurai's YouTube channel like finale video, since I think that in that video he proposed a new game, and he's talking about how he's working on a new game. Now, at the time when we were recording this, I had not actually seen the full video from Sakurai. I had just heard that he proposed a new game. And in my mind, I thought that meant that he had an idea for a game and then proposed it to Nintendo or whoever, when in reality, it was more that they wanted him to make a game proposal, or whoever the company was wanted him to make a game proposal. He did, but then they were putting together a development team still, so he had a few months of free time and just decided to make the channel. That's the whole story. So because of that, I'm thinking less now that it is Smash, because first of all, they had him do this proposal kind of when Smash Ultimate DLC development was ending, so why would it be Smash if they're still working on the other Smash, you know? And also, they had to put together a new development team, so that makes me think that it's not going to be Smash. Now, I'm no, like, expert in game development or, like, organization like that behind the scenes, so, like, for all I know, it could still be Smash, but now, after kind of, like, watching that full video, I'm kind of thinking that it's not Smash. However, I don't think that what we say in this section is necessarily wrong, or that I don't think that anymore, because it's more so, we more so talk about how the Smash series could continue without Sakurai, you know, and stuff like that. So I think most of what I still say here rings true, but I just wanted to clarify a few things. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but Sakurai in 2022 proposed a new game for Nintendo. Like, he said it. He said, oh, in 2022 because you know how he was making those YouTube videos on his channel?
Yeah.
They were all recorded in 2022 and just were drip-fed to us. And then he said, oh yeah, the reason why I recorded these all and then drip-fed them was because when I recorded all the videos right after, I made the proposal to Nintendo for a new game. And he's just been working on it for the last, like, 2 years. But that begs the question of, is it Smash or is it something else? I personally think it could be something else, because why would he have to propose it to Nintendo? You know, like, why would he, like, I didn't actually watch the video. I just saw, like, headlines about it. I should have watched the video before we recorded this. But, like, having to propose a game to Nintendo kind of seems like it's not Smash, because, like, why would you have to do that? If it were Smash, like, I don't know how game development works within Nintendo, but why would you have to propose that? I feel like that's the kind of thing where it's just like, yeah, you're already working on it.
Unless it's like a big, bold new direction for Smash, like if it's 3D Smash. Which
I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna keep it.
I don't think they're gonna do that. But I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, if he for some reason really wanted to do that kind of thing, that would be the kind of thing where it's like,
yeah,
you would have to propose it, because any normal Smash game, why would you have to propose it to Nintendo? They'd just be like, yeah, sure, go ahead. But if it is a big change for the franchise, then yeah. But like, I agree with what you're saying. I think it is just a whole new thing, and it might be like a Kid Icarus game, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say
that would be cool.
I'll talk. Well,
so
Kid
we can
Icarus
talk about that
list,
once we get to Kid Icarus.
But yeah, I don't think it's Smash.
Yeah.
But it really begs the question of, okay, well, if it's not Smash, then what's gonna happen with Smash? I think Smash needs to. I think it's kind of like Mario Kart. Smash Ultimate is just such a big game. It's such a it is the ultimate Smash game, and I think they need to take the series in a different, or at least like new direction in order to keep it like. Because it's like, oh well, why would I buy this new Smash game when I already have the Smash game with like almost 90 characters and I can play it on the console, you know? I want to say within like the first like 3 years, just because they want to have Smash Bros early, but it all just depends on what Sakurai's new game is, because he also said in that thing, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to be making games forever, like, and he was kind of hinting at, I think, like, pretty soon he's gonna be like stepping down from game development, which honestly I feel like he should have done after Ultimate. I feel like he's more to death throughout the years, but because of that, I think he's aware of this fact, so he's gotta have people at Nintendo, at Bandai Namco, who like understand his vision, understand how he thinks, and they can like use things that they learned from him to create the next Smash game. I don't think Sakurai necessarily needs to be directing the project, because I mean he's been working with a lot of the same developers for a while, especially like when it comes to Bandai Namco. I mean, they made the last two Smash games.
I'm sure he has people he trusts.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure he's aware of the fact that he's going to be stepping down from game development probably soon, and so I'm sure he has people in place that he knows.
And when he does, I'm sure he's aware that like Nintendo is in no way giving up Smash.
Oh yeah, they can't. I've heard people say like, "Oh, Smash Ultimate is going to be the end because like Sakurai's not going to work on it anymore." Like after that, why
I could see it being the end of Sakurai's reign over it. But,
oh yeah, I could see it being the end of Sakurai's Smash, but it's not going to be the end.
I was thinking that like if we're going for early on, I wouldn't be surprised if we got Smash Ultimate like Deluxe, and it was like Smash Ultimate with a few extra characters, kind of thing.
See, but
like
I feel
if
like
we basically got Fighter Pass 3, but
I feel like that's what I feel like the thing is like when it comes to Smash, they definitely want a big new thing, especially considering the fact that we kind of thought that's what was going to happen on Switch. Was that
and then there's
going to be Smash Wii U with some extra characters, and they made the biggest Smash game of all time in like within like I don't know, what was it, like 2 years after the DLC ended for Smash Wii U? Like it was kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy how fast they made Ultimate. Like
But yeah, I mean, Smash Ultimate was the third highest selling game, so they definitely want to prioritize it. They're definitely going to make it, whether or not Sakurai is helping or not.
So what year? We still haven't settled on a year.
Oh, I'm thinking like 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing that they did for
Yeah, hard 2 is what I would say. I just don't know what it would look like, and we're kind of afraid to see what it would, but
again, this is the kind of thing where I feel like we could make a whole video on imagining the next Smash Bros. Game. But, yeah. I think a lot of it just depends on what Sakurai's new game is. I mean, if it's a Smash Bros., I feel like we could get it, like, year 1, if they started working on it in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out in 2025. But, who knows? We'll see. We will see. Which leads us to Star Fox, which we probably won't see on Switch, but I'm hopeful that we will. I put year 3 to 4, and only because like I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's just some of these franchises that didn't get entries on Switch, they kind of just speak to me as coming out on Switch too, because I mean there were a lot of franchises that came back on Switch, and I feel like there's going to be franchises that come back on Switch too, and for some reason Star Fox, same thing with Wario Land, it's kind of just speaking to me, like I can just see it.
Well, I get that, but why not early on?
Because I don't think they're gonna prioritize it, but it does depend on the developer. If Platinum Games is making it, I mean, they could have it out very
because
early.
Like they could have just been working on it this whole time.
Especially if it is Platinum. I just put kind of like Like, to me, Star Fox doesn't feel like the kind of game to come out super early. Not midway through, but like a little bit before. That's why I said like year 3 or 4. I kind of just want it to come out in the first half of the console's life, so it has a chance at success.
Right. That, or it's like a early, like a launch window.
That would be cool, but I don't think
because like since it hasn't gotten anything on, we haven't had anything since Star Fox Zero, so it's like the kind of thing where it's like if they've been working on it, then they've been working on it, and they might just be sitting on it.
You look at the launch year for Switch 1, and it was all heavy hitter franchises. They didn't have anything small like that really until like 2018. And even then, most of what came out in 2018 was just Wii U ports.
I guess that's true.
I think
that's the thing where it's like Star Fox could be a heavy hitter, but it
could be. And
right.
I think what they need to do is they need to either
it wouldn't be.
They need to either let Platinum Games go all the way with it, because I think the problem was that they didn't let them do anything crazy with Star Fox Zero.
Mm-hmm.
They either need to let Platinum Games go all the way with it, or they need to get a new development team. And because, like, somebody out, even Ubisoft, honestly, Ubisoft could make the next Star Fox game. Somebody out there has to have a good idea for Star Fox. Like, I refuse to believe that this franchise about talking animals in spaceships, nobody can think of anything interesting. There's somebody out there. They just need to find the right person to make a new game.
For the love of God, Starlink Battle for Atlas had an interesting Star Fox story.
Yeah, and I mean, made by Ubisoft, so maybe Ubisoft will, or Platinum Games. I don't think Platinum Games is completely to blame for Star Fox Zero's failure. I think they weren't given enough time, and they weren't given enough freedom. But I think nowadays, Nintendo's values have changed on that. It just depends, but I want to see Star Fox, and I want to see it in the first half of the console's life, but I don't think it's going to be super early either.
So 3, I think, is...
Yeah, I put 3. I put 3 or 4.
If at all.
Yeah. 3D Zelda and 2D Zelda. Let's go 3D first. What are your thoughts?
4+.
That's what I put too. I mean, even if they want to prioritize a new 3D Zelda coming out, like, this is the Nintendo series that is notorious for taking forever for new releases. Even when they use the last game as a base. Even when it's base... Like, Tears of the Kingdom took, like, 6 years to come out. Yeah, I think, like, even if they want to prioritize it, they just can't. Like, it's not a horrible thing. I'm sure they're cooking something great up, but I also think they need to do something different than Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They need to take it in not necessarily a new direction, but a different direction. You know,
if Tears of the Kingdom didn't happen, we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah, we'd be saying, like, year 1.
Yeah, like, that, I mean, that basically just came out, so it's just, like, at least in terms of, like, 3D Zelda stuff, that's basically just, we ain't seeing anything anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think, like...
Especially not.
Like, there's all these like, especially with 3D Mario, like, that's the kind of thing where, like, it should have gotten a sequel on Switch too. And then we'd be saying a different thing as well, but it didn't. So, we're here, and we're saying it's a launch title, so...
Yeah, we're here saying launch title.
Because of that.
Yeah.
And then 2D Zelda. Oh, wait, no, there is actually one thing I want to say about 3D Zelda. Honestly, I think... Now, I like your whole upgrade for, like, $10 tier kind of, or, like, idea kind of thing. I think Nintendo is instead going to be very selective about what games they give upgrades to, and they're going to be more than $10. But what I would like them to do, and I think this would be, like... This is, like, the only, like, full-price thing I would not be upset about, is if they did a Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom bundle, both with better performance and stuff on Switch 2, to show the hardware and stuff, and it comes out, like, within the first year, and it could be, like, 60 or $70, but you gotta think, I mean, those are 2 high-profile Switch 1 games for the price of 1,
right.
And they're also better. So, and, like, we already know that Breath of the Wild on Switch 2 exists. Like, that is the one Switch 2 game we know exists. Even if it's not going to be an actual game, we know that they showed off...
Yeah, we know they got it working on there.
Yeah, we know that behind closed doors, they showed off, like, a Breath of the Wild with higher performance and stuff to the first people seeing the console. So, we know that they have it. It's just whether or not they want to release it and how they want to release it, that's the question. 2D Zelda... I don't think we're going to see anything. I mean, we just got Echoes of Wisdom, like, last month.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it could be likely that we see a remake.
Maybe even late in the console's life we see an original thing.
Yeah, maybe late. I just don't know. I don't know if we're going to get one at all, though. I don't think they get... Like, Breath of the Wild, it was kind of like...
It just depends on how long the console lasts, really.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, it was the kind of thing where it's like, oh, this is cool, and I feel like this is... The open worldness and all that is so cool, and I feel like they could expand this a lot more. Echoes of Wisdom, it kind of has, like, open world elements, and, like, kind of made 2D Zelda kind of like Breath of the Wild. And, like, the sort of open world sense, but also I don't think they could do too much to expand upon. I think they used, and not that they ran out of ideas in the game or anything, but I think they had a lot of ideas in the game, and it's like I can't think of a lot more that they could do other than what they've already done. But honestly, I think, you know, I would love to see like a Link Between Worlds remaster by Grezzo, or like a complete remake of the Oracle games, and maybe make it like one package.
Yeah. A Minish Cap remake might be cool.
That'd be cool as well. The problem is, I think you'd have to have Capcom working on that.
Right, yeah.
Alright, so the next series we're going to be talking about is ARMS. Now, it's technically not a series yet, but do you think that ARMS is going to get a sequel on the Switch too?
No, but it will get a spiritual successor.
Really? What do you mean? Like
launches
legs?
with legs.
Legs? They use that leg
System
strap?
launches with legs. Yep.
Honestly, like, I think the ARMS had so much potential, and it just doesn't feel like they did enough with it. I would like to see them expand upon it in a sequel. It's good, but I think
to kick off like Splatoon though.
Yeah, I feel like if ARMS launched like at any time other than when it did, I don't think it would have cracked 1 million.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that if we are gonna get a new game, or like a sequel or something, or like a spiritual successor, it would have to be year one, and I wouldn't be upset if they did that.
Such as legs.
I wouldn't be upset if Nintendo kind of just tried to replicate what they did with year one with the Switch, because it worked really well. I think they might do it. I mean, like 1-2 Switch got a sequel, so I feel like nothing is off of the table. I think that if we are gonna get a sequel, though, it would have to be like year one, maybe year two, but it would definitely have to be early on.
Yeah.
Now, what about the Wii series? And by Wii series, I mean like Nintendo Switch Sports. I just didn't know what to call it, because like I didn't want to call it the Sports series because I think Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort is in the Wii series, but Switch Sports isn't. Oh, like it's not called. You know, it doesn't have Wii in it because it's not on the Wii. So I don't know what this series is called, but I do think that the other games like Wii Play, Wii Music, etc. are in the same series as Wii Sports and Sports Resort. That was kind of a tangent for explaining this, but what do we think about the Wii/Switch series?
It's weird because we just got the freaking basketball update, which came out of nowhere.
That was definitely something that they just kind of had. They had it in their back pocket, and they're like, let's just put it out.
I could see maybe an expanded re-release just for the casuals early on.
Really?
Add like maybe like one other sport.
I feel like it's the kind of thing where I feel like they're definitely going to make a new game, because they would have done it on the Switch earlier, but I think they were scared. I think they were kind of scared as to what was going to go on with that, so they waited a bit. But Switch Sports sold 13 million copies. That's crazy. Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna want to make a new game then. I don't think they're gonna do a re-release though. I feel like if anything, they would just use some of the same sports and basically just port them over. I mean, that's what they did for like Wii Sports Resort. I'm pretty sure the golf courses are just the same. I want to see the series continue because, you know, I have like nostalgia for it, and I just, in general, I like. As much as Nintendo Switch Sports was kind of like an game, I feel like it had a lot more merit to exist than like the Mario sports games that don't have any content. So like, it's the kind of thing where I would hope that they're gonna like expand upon it, but I don't know. I think what they need to do, get rid of the sports mates, or maybe not get rid of them, but make them less of a focus. Bring the Miis more back into the spotlight.
Yeah.
And go like full nostalgia pandering. Bring back Woohoo Island if you need to. I think that is going to be the best way to get people on the game. Is because, I mean, they know people are nostalgic for it. They know people love Woohoo Island and like everything. I think that this is the one time where Nintendo can go complete nostalgia bait, and I think it'll work.
I also think that if they're gonna really go back at it, just rebrand it to Nintendo Sports.
Yeah, I don't mind the title kind of being the console. I mean, you have like Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart DS. It's literally just like the console in the name.
Right, and that's
I feel like they should have just called it
Switch.
Switch. I feel like they should have just called it Switch Sports though. Nintendo Switch Sports is just kind of like, okay,
don't have strong feelings on the sports series, shall we say, in general. I'm thinking if they're gonna do it early, I'm thinking year 3.
Yeah, I put like year 2 or year 3. I think they're gonna want to make it earlier than like year 5, like how Nintendo Switch Sports was. I think they were just scared to make it. They were scared that if they emphasized too much on like casual games, that like it wouldn't work. Kind of like how like what happened with the Wii U. So I think they're definitely gonna. They definitely saw success and was like, okay, well, we can maybe push this a little bit more for the next console. I just hope that it has enough content. Even if it does mean that like all the sports from Switch Sports are carried over and they just add a few new ones. I mean, I would still be fine with that. I've always been really interested in the Wii series overall, not just like the sports games. So I just like looking at this series, even if that means I only play Switch Sports for like an hour. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, editing MJ back yet again. I just wanted to give another little clarification for this part of the video because we are about to talk about Xenoblade. Now, I just wanted to say that we recorded this part of the video on the night of October 28th, 2024. Now, if you have been familiar with recent announcements, you'll know that on the morning of October 29th, 2024, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition was announced. Literally, our timing couldn't have been any funnier. We didn't plan this at all. I mean, there's no way we could have. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify, like, yes, I know Xenoblade X Definitive Edition exists, and we talk about it in here, but like, it wasn't announced yet when we made this part of the video. So next we have Xenoblade, which I know you're not like the biggest fan of the series because, I mean, like we could go into that another time, but we
certainly did. Anyways,
yeah, we maybe we might have re-recorded this section because we kind of went on a Xenoblade tangent. It's kind of the same thing with Fire Emblem where it's like, it's probably going to be there pretty early on, and honestly, it's just a matter of, like, which series does Nintendo want to release an entry for first. I personally said Fire Emblem, which is why I have Xenoblade coming out as, like, year 2 or year 3.
I would honestly say year 4 plus if we get anything.
Really?
Because, like, is the series not, like, over? Like, I don't know much about Xenoblade 3, but I heard that was, like, the end of the trilogy. So I don't know if they want to do anything with Xenoblade anymore.
Yeah, I have not played 3. I knew that like Xenoblade 3 was gonna like I know it's more the DLC, not really the base game, but I knew that Xenoblade 3 was gonna be like a conclusion to it. They kind of were saying that when it was announced. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna play Xenoblade 2 then, because at this point I'd only played Definitive Edition. And I really do not like Xenoblade 2. I mean, it's not the worst game ever, but, like, it's just kind of like, I haven't gone through it, and I want to eventually, but it's just the kind of thing, though, where, like, they just release games so frequently, and I feel like I mean, people still like them. I would like to see Xenoblade continue to get that much output, because I'm a fan, but I think maybe, like, instead of releasing, like, a new game, they do, like, a port of X. I would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they've shown, I think there was like an interview or something where they showed an interest in, you know, porting X to Switch, you know, maybe do it for Switch too. I think they could make it run even better with better hardware because, I mean, Xenoblade X was pushing the Wii U. So maybe that's why they didn't make it like an X Definitive Edition on Switch or anything. Or maybe just because there's already so many Xenoblade games on it. I feel like the biggest problem with playing Xenoblade X nowadays is that the only way to get like the definitive experience is to mod your Wii U, because there's those updates that basically fixed everything about the game, but it's not on the disc. So if you want to, you know, if you want to play Xenoblade X and you get the disc, you're kind of just screwed. I mean, the game is there, it's complete technically, but it runs not that well. So I would like to see them kind of make it a definitive edition. But honestly, I see what you're saying about maybe waiting a bit, because there's just so much of it on Switch, and like, from what the baseline that me and you know, like, 3 was kind of like the ending, in a way.
Yeah.
Xenoblade, hardcore Xenoblade fans correct us. I'm mostly just a fan of the first game, but yeah.
Yeah, and what you bring up with X is a good point. Like, that might, if we're looking at that, then I could see year 1 if they got like X out as just like a quick port. or like 2 or 3 or whatever. But in terms of a wholly new game, back half.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I definitely see what you're saying there, but I feel like they're gonna want to put out like something in like the first half though, whether it's a port or like a new game or what. Bayonetta, I feel like we're gonna get a lot of controversy with this one because I put that Bayonetta is not gonna get a new game.
Me too.
I think Bayonetta 3 was, I feel like a lot of people were talking about it just because it took so long to come out. And I feel like when it came out, I saw some people talking about it, but like, I feel like even people who like the game, they're not really like, oh yeah, you need to play Bayonetta 3. A big part of it is just that like the story. I mean, like you can play, from what I've heard, you can play Bayonetta 3 before the rest of them, but it's the kind of thing where it's like you might as well just play the other ones first. And for me, that's the biggest reason why I haven't gotten into Bayonetta, because then I have to play the first two, which I don't have a problem with doing, and I'm sure they're great. I've heard a lot of good things, but it's just I just haven't gotten around to it. And just in general, Bayonetta 3 wasn't like a huge success, and I think it took a lot like for Platinum Games to finally get that out. There's a lot of development issues and like controversy with like the voice actor and stuff like that. So honestly, I feel like Bayonetta is just the kind of thing that they want to put down for a little bit and just kind of like let rest and maybe revive later on. But I don't see them making a new game this generation.
Yeah, and we did get Bayonetta Origins.
That's true, we did get Bayonetta Origins. And it was another thing that I feel like nobody talked about.
Yeah, nobody talked about it, really. Like,
yeah, I would honestly...
maybe back half if we're getting something, but yeah, I don't think we're really going to get much.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much. I feel like this is going to upset the Bayonetta fans in the comments. I'm sorry, but, I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. As I said, I don't really know that much about the series, other than, like, baseline stuff, so... Mario plus Rabbids! I like that Sparks of Hope exists. I think it was a cool thing to make a sequel. I didn't get around to playing Sparks of Hope. I did play a fair bit of the original, though. And Sparks of Hope, from what I've seen, looks like an amazing expansion and, kind of just... I mean, it's not an expansion, it's a new game, not an expansion, but, like, they expand the concept so widely. To the point where, like, honestly, it's barely even... From what I've seen, it doesn't even look like a Mario game that much. They're not in, like, the Mushroom Kingdom. They're kind of in their own scenarios, and there's all this, like, stuff with the Rabbids, where it's, like, kind of like its own setting in a way, and with Mario elements, which I don't have a problem with. It's just, like, I feel like they're kind of holding themselves back by making it Mario plus Rabbids. I think, Ubisoft could just, maybe they could make a game with another Nintendo IP, or maybe like take the Mario plus Rabbids like gameplay formula and make their own original thing. I think having Mario and the Rabbids there is fun, but I think it's kind of like it's kind of had its time. I think if they make a third game, it's just gonna be like, okay, well, whatever. But I would really like to see them like take what they learned from Mario and Rabbids and maybe make their own like tactical RPG series.
Yeah. I saw, like, before Sparks of Hope was announced, I saw a lot of people talking about, like, ooh, it would be kind of cool if we got, like, a Zelda plus Rabbids, or a Kirby plus Rabbids, or they just, like, took those games and took their own spin on it. Since Nintendo's, we've seen how good Ubisoft handled Mario. And then we got Sparks of Hope, and it was kind of like, okay, I guess they're kind of just content with doing this again. And not that Sparks of Hope was bad. I mean, I never played either. I probably should one of these days, but I have a reason why I haven't. It's a dumb reason, but it's kind of an inside joke, and I'm sticking to it. So, MJ knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
They could. I hope they don't.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe used, like... If they maybe did kind of like a... If anything with the series, not that I think they should do this or that they're going to, but I think if anything, maybe they do kind of like what I suggested for Zelda and just kind of do like a combo pack on Switch with like better performance and like, I mean, not that the games perform bad, but like better, graphics and stuff like that. I don't think we're gonna get anything else. I would really like to see Ubisoft take over Star Fox and make a Star Fox game. That's what I hope they do, if anything with Nintendo. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see much from the series.
Yeah.
Speaking of a series that I don't think we're gonna see much of, 1-2 Switch.
Yeah.
they would be smart to not do this series. It like, if they made, even, like, I don't know what the Switch 2 is going to be named. I don't know if it's going to be, like, Switch 2 or if it's going to have, like, any naming correlation with the Switch. If they were smart, they wouldn't do that either. But honestly, it would be really funny if the series came back again, but I highly doubt it, and it would be the dumbest move for them to do so.
Yeah, it would be really freaking funny if they did, though.
It sounds funny, and then you think about it, and it's like, wow, that's like, the game isn't gonna do well.
That once, I think this is pretty, we can both pretty easily move on immediately.
I would be interested in them trying kind of what they did with Everybody Want to Switch and make kind of like a Jackbox style party game where people can like join on their phones or whatever. But I think, you know, having the whole motion control thing just holds it back. I think they should maybe like focus, like if they wanted to do something like Everybody Want to Switch, just make a different game. Just make a game like Jackbox.
That would be cool if they did something like that, but generally I think this series, it's out of the picture.
But next we got the 1080 series, so 1080 snowboarding, 1080 avalanche. I kind of just, when I think this game, I'm thinking like, you know that game that was shown off like with like the Switch originally and like the presentation, like the snowboarding game that got canceled? What was it called? I don't remember what it was called. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know this series or what you're talking about.
It's so 1080 is like snowboarding. It's like you know Wave Race. You know Wave Race.
Actually, I might have. Was there a game on N64? Because I might have it.
Yeah, that's 1080 snowboarding was on N64, and then 1080 Avalanche was GameCube.
Yeah, I definitely got it in like a shovelware lot.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a Nintendo series, but it is. Which is why I don't think they're gonna revive it, because there's just so many games like this out there. But at first, I'm sure a lot of people, I didn't know what 1080 snowboarding was back in the day. But I'm sure some people saw that game that got canceled and was like, is 1080 snowboarding coming back? Probably not. I kind of just put it on the list because every time I think of that game, which isn't a lot, every time I think of that canceled game, I always think like, oh, what if that was like a 1080 snowboarding thing? What if Nintendo brought that back? Even though I know Nintendo wasn't developing it. I think it was Ubisoft. Yeah, I think the series is just too generic to come back. It doesn't really have
I feel like I've been transferred into an alternate dimension because I genuinely just don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Which is kind of crazy because I don't think it's like the most well-known Nintendo franchise, but like, I mean, it got 2 games.
Well, I know the franchise you're talking about. Now that you said more, I'm just talking about like the tech demo. Like I don't know.
Oh, it was just like it was like in a sizzle reel. They had like a snowboarding game in the background. I'll show it to you after this. And next up, we have another code, which is a series I did not know existed until like a year ago when the remake was announced during a Nintendo Direct. Yeah. I actually played the demo for this, and I thought it was decent. I was kind of interested to see where the story went, but it didn't entirely grab me. I thought some of the puzzles were kind of cool, but also kind of basic. I might pick it up on sale, but like honestly though, when I see this, I think kind of like Famicom Detective Club, where like I could see them use this as like a, oh, should they make a new game? It's just whether or not it was a success to them, because you know we got the Famicom Detective Club games remade, and then they made a new one, which we'll talk about that series in a little bit. So maybe they'll do that, but otherwise, like, I mean, it's
a good
another
point.
code.
Like I was gonna say probably nothing, but that. With Famicom Detective Club, anything can happen at this point. So, yeah, like with the context of that.
I doubt that the game sold well in Nintendo's eyes. I mean, they decided to launch it in January 2024, so it was kind of their fault. But
yeah,
that's the only way I could see it coming back, is like oh, we released the remakes and now, you know, we've decided to make a new game. But I don't think they're going to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't actually played, so maybe it is. Maybe people don't actually care. I don't know. But something I do actually care about, despite not actually playing the game, is Astral Chain. Now, I've been looking at this game, like, basically since it was announced, and I think it looks cool. I like the aesthetic. I've seen gameplay and stuff. I think it looks like a great game. I haven't got around to playing it. And it is one of those Switch games where it's like I want to go play it, like, really bad, but I haven't gone around to it. It's like, nowadays it's like, oh well, if I'm gonna buy a Switch game, it might as well be, you know, one of the newer ones coming out, not an old one, because it's not really like cheap or anything still. Because I mean, most
right.
Switch exclusives aren't gonna be that cheap. Let's be real. But it's the kind of thing where I think just the aesthetic and like the concept and everything, like all that alone, is enough to warrant expanding upon it. And from what I've seen, it looks like a great game. I really want to play it, which is also why I want to see a sequel. It's kind of weird how much of a passion I have for this game, despite not even playing it.
I know nothing about it, so
yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to. In terms of when I think it would come out, I don't know. The question is more of if a sequel will exist at all, which is what I think most of the rest of the games we're gonna talk about. I think that's like the same situation, but
yeah, I think we've kind of got to switch gears to that.
Yeah, I think we're more switching games to will the series continue. What I wouldn't like to see continue is Big Brain Academy. I mean, not that I have anything against it, but like, why did this series continue on Switch?
And it kind of barely did. We didn't get it over here, so.
No, that was Brain Age. We did get Big Brain Academy over here.
Oh no, you're right. I'm stupid.
We'll talk about Brain Age in just a minute. Actually, I don't think Nintendo wants to make games in like their casual series, other than like Switch Sports, like the sports series. And I think like that's why they ended up releasing, like, they made like a Brain Age, they made a Big Brain Academy, made a Clubhouse Games, made a Switch Sports, and Switch Sports was like the only one that really took off. So I think they're just gonna be like, you know what, let's just focus on that. I don't think they're really gonna
yeah,
we may as well talk about Brain Age in the same vein. I don't think Brain Age is going to continue either.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially since we didn't get it over here because of like things with the US having like regulations against like quote unquote brain training games, even though like Big Brain Academy released. I feel like that is more like, oh, academy, like you're training your brain, than Brain Age.
Yeah.
Like I think it's kind of weird.
It is a little interesting.
But I guess like the gameplay of Big Brain Academy is less like that. But it's just kind of funny that like the game named Brain Age didn't come over, but the Big Brain Academy did. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you see, what American government really cracked down on was like all those freaking mobile ads that were like, you know when you would, every time you clicked anywhere on a freaking web page on mobile, or like an app on mobile, it would, like wordscapes, and then it would be the freaking stock PNG of the thumb dragging freaking words, and it would like make the age go down.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
that might be I mean, the game's called Brain Age. That might be kind of
why.
That
is true. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
that's probably why.
I understand, but I think because of that as well, they're not going to want to bring it over. I don't think Japan and Europe were wowed by Brain Age on Switch.
Yeah.
But I was wowed by Box Boy and Box Girl on Switch. Not actually.
I sure was.
But I didn't actually play the first Box Boy. I say recently, but I'm pretty sure it was like a year ago. And honestly, I liked it. I think it works. It works better on the 3DS than the Switch. I feel like playing a game that simplistic, like on your big TV, is kind of funny. Like, it's kind of just like,
it is really funny.
But I don't know. I like Box Boy. It's by the Kirby devs, and the Kirby devs can just pop out everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a new Box Boy, but I think it would be at the kind of same time in the Switch 2's lifespan than it was on the Switch, which I think it was like what year 3, year 2 on Switch 1. I feel like it would be like the same.
Yeah, it was something like that.
I think we could get another entry. I don't really like that I'm confident that we will, but like Nintendo was so consistent about this franchise that's just a square. It's just a square, and I love that.
Yeah,
I
it's
love how,
so funny.
I love how like they made an amiibo. They made an amiibo for Box Boy. It's the most like it's the most expensive amiibo, I think. Like I have a fondness for the Box Boy series, half ironically, half because the games are actually fun. But anyways, yeah, that's Box Boy. And next up is Chibi Robo. I think the series deserves an actual chance.
Right.
I feel like there are enough people nowadays that would be willing to try it out. And even if they just made like a small little eShop title, or even if they just like remastered the original game or something, and just to test how it would work over here. And
I feel like in any other situation, I'd agree with you, but it's just the fact, like, the developers. I don't know if you saw this. Developers like started a Kickstarter for a spiritual successor because they just can't make. Yeah, they just can't make Chibi Robo games anymore.
Oh, this was this year. This was like a few months ago. Wow, it looks just like Chibi Robo. I guess we won't be seeing Chibi Robo then, but we're gonna get this. I don't know how I didn't hear about this.
That's just kind of the state of the gaming industry nowadays, where it's like this kind of stuff can happen. And I feel like as we've been getting through this list, we have been seeing a lot more of this, where it's just like, yeah, some of this stuff, it's just, I don't know if these series are going to come back. I don't know if they have the grounds to be here nowadays. And with something like Chibi Robo, the developers had to just make a spiritual successor because of how bad the original series was doing in general, so...
But moving on, Clubhouse Games.
Are we gonna get 52 Worldwide Classics?
52 Worldwide Classics. Honestly, as much as I did like Clubhouse Games, I had fun with it. As much as I liked it, I feel like it's the kind of same thing with Brain Age Big Brain Academy, where like they kind of brought it back just to see which of their casual like franchises would work. And while I think Clubhouse Games did decent, I don't know how well it did, but I mean I feel like people liked it, but like I just don't think Nintendo is gonna do anything like it again. Especially with like backwards compatibility. I mean, what are they gonna do? They can't like improve upon like Hare and Hounds. like what are you gonna do? How are you going to bring the series forward other than just make a new compilation of games? And with backwards compatibility, I doubt we're gonna see any of that.
Yeah, I do think people would go crazy for 52 Worldwide Classics. I
mean, they have the piano. That's the 52nd Worldwide Classic.
That is the 52nd Worldwide Classic.
But next is Earthbound/Mother Pipe Dream. Maybe Mother 3 will get localized. It's kind of sad that we're at the point where it's like Mother 3 getting localized is still like a very good scenario. Maybe they'll do a remake of something. I really doubt it though. I think the biggest thing is just that like the original developers, they just don't really want to do anything with it.
Which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. I just really wish they would
localize
Mother 3. At least localize Mother 3. I know it's kind of like a meme at this point, but like, come on. You don't even have to do any work for that. Like, at least in terms of like game development.
It is kind of crazy that like over here, the only real Mother game we ever got was Mother 2, which was called Earthbound, and then they had to retroactively call Mother 1 Earthbound Beginnings.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
Like,
it is kind of funny.
It's so... Because, and it's like, they localized that one. Why not localize Mother 3?
I think Nintendo...
If they can localize that one so many years after and still make it work, I think they can do this one.
Maybe we'll just have to wait the same amount of years. But next is Endless Ocean, which, again, I wouldn't have included unless, if it weren't for the game that came out this year. I did not get it. I did not want to get it. I saw nobody talking about it, and I've
heard it's not good.
I don't even think Nintendo meant to release it. I think the new game. I think it was just an accident. I think they just accidentally clicked "Release Endless Ocean Luminous" on the keyboard and just spat it out because they didn't market the game at all.
I hate when I accidentally release Endless Ocean Luminous.
Like what were they expecting? Like what were they expecting genuinely? This is the most confident I am in for basically any of these that they won't come back. But what I hope, actually, I don't know, because I haven't played anything other than the NES game for this one. But like the Excite series, Excite Bike, Excite Bots, it's weird how like long the series went on. It only really feels like the NES game exists, but no, there were like a few games later on. I feel like if this comes back though, I could see it maybe coming back or like a port or something. But I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like second half.
I feel like it's always gonna be there. Like, even if it's just like Mario Kart 9 releases and they bring back Excite Bike Arena. That, like, I feel like it's just gonna kind of exist in the Nintendo Zeitgeist as like a classic title, but not like I don't see anything big happening with a new game or anything because nobody really cares anymore about it as a series.
Honestly, though, I think it would be kind of cool if they, for like Mario Kart, we didn't bring this up earlier, but if for the next Mario Kart game they did it more like a Nintendo Kart, and then they had like the Excite Bike character, and it's like 8-bit like Donkey Kong Jr. was
Mr. Excite.
Mr. Excite and Watch. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get much from this. But what do we think about Famicom Detective Club?
Well, they did say that MEO Smiling Man is the last one, so again,
did they say that? I thought they did, but
I think they did.
When I was making the list, I was searching for it, and I couldn't find anything saying that. I thought I just imagined it. Did they say that?
I think I heard that from you.
Yeah,
so
maybe I did just imagine it then, because I
you
swear
might just
I heard
be
them say
tweaking,
that. I swear I heard them say it, but then I couldn't find anything. I think it would be cool to kind of have Nintendo's own take on like Ace Attorney or something. I mean, like at Famicom Detective Club, I haven't played any of the games.
Especially
like,
since they're not afraid to make it M-rated.
Exactly, like doing, like they can. I feel like there's much more they could do with this, like because Nintendo doesn't really have like a visual novel series unless you count Fire Emblem. They don't really have like a visual novel series, so it would be kind of cool to have like this kind of as a visual novel series for Nintendo. Though I think they would probably have to change the name if they're gonna, or just make a different series, but like be like a spiritual successor, because Famicom Detective Club is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. It made sense for the remakes of the original games, like, yeah, just call it Famicom Detective Club, what else are you gonna call it? But ever since then, it's just kind of been like, okay, so you're making another game in the series, but that's just what, like, you know, like...
I'm pretty sure it is called, like, MEO the Smiling Man, and then, like, Famicom Detective Club. Like, it's just kind of saying the series that it's in, so people know.
It's tough to continue the series while also changing the series name for something like a visual novel.
And next, we have F-Zero, which, honestly, I feel like enough people have been asking for it, they could bring it back. However, I feel like if they do, it would have to be like a few years in, maybe like 4+. I don't think they want competition with Mario Kart, so they either have to make it seem like its own thing, or just release it a lot later if they are gonna make an F-Zero game. I feel like they definitely want to, or like are considering it, because otherwise they wouldn't have made F-Zero 99. Like, of all series, of all NES games, or I guess it's a SNES game, but of all, like, classic games like that, why F-Zero, you know, for a 99? I mean, they must be, you know, thinking about the series. I don't know if they saw the game as a success.
I remember we were so disappointed, because the trailer opened, and we were thinking it was going to be like, oh, they're going to show the whole history of the series, and then show the new one, and then it just kept on the SNES one.
Yeah. I mean, I liked F-Zero 99.
It's just the old one.
I liked it.
It was alright. I played like a few matches and then I promptly forgot about it.
But I don't think any of, other than Tetris 99, I don't think any of those 99 games have been able to kind of have the same appeal. I think it doesn't, I don't think it could only work for puzzle games, but I think puzzle games have the inherent advantage of just already being kind of replayable high score games.
I'd also argue that when it comes to Tetris 99, that was just it's like a battle royale, but without guns? What is this?
Yeah, I think Tetris 99 got, like, memed on. I think that was another reason why it did really well. But yeah, I don't think F-Zero 99 was, like, the biggest success. I mean, it was free, so, you know. But they didn't release any DLC or anything for it, and honestly, I think... I hope that they see it as at least a moderate success, enough of a success to make it a new game, but I still think they're gonna wait a few years after the Switch 2 launches if they're gonna make it at all, because they don't want competition with Mario Kart, which they obviously want to get out sooner rather than later.
Right.
Now, what about Golden Sun? This is the most probably not series I have on here, because I know nothing about Golden Sun, but it is, you know, a series that I see a lot of people talking about and wanting to come back. Any thoughts? Didn't think so. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the series.
Moving on.
I'm not really a fan of the series. I doubt it'll come back because it's been so long. But it would be cool to maybe get like a remake or like a revival or something of it.
Yeah, those fans have been waiting so long, and they've been such patient little guys and gals that like they deserve it.
They deserve a bone, or at least Isaac in Smash. That's his name, right? Isaac?
Something like
that. But yeah, speaking of revivals, Kid Icarus. Honestly, I am still convinced that the new game that Sakurai is making is a Kid Icarus game, which means that
Me too.
I'm
thinking year one.
Yeah, I think year 1 or year 2. If that's what it is, if it's not and it's just the next Smash Bros. Game, I wouldn't be upset. But I mean, Smash Bros. Is gonna come out either way. Kid Icarus won't come out unless Sakurai does something with it, honestly. Like, let's be real. Nintendo doesn't really care.
Right.
If the game is Kid Icarus, I say year 1, year 2. If it's not, maybe a remaster of Uprising.
Maybe, yeah.
Now, this next series, calling this a series is kind of a funny entry on the list. And I put, like, NES Remix and Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. I kind of put them in the same series. But I'm more talking about, like, games in the style. Just taking retro titles and kind of putting a new spin on them. Whether that be, remixing them, like with NES Remix, or focusing more on, like, speedrunning and, like, little challenges and stuff like that. Do you think that we're gonna see anything like this? Maybe a Volume 2 of World Championships NES Edition, or maybe, like, a SNES World Championships?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I was just about to say, my personal hope would be an SNES remix, or, like, N64 remix. That's probably not gonna happen, but I loved NES Remix. It gets slept on, honestly.
Yeah, I think I really liked it. I even liked the Nintendo World Championships. I bought the collector's thing because I thought the gold cartridge was so cool.
I honestly completely forgot about its existence until, like, now.
Yeah, I liked it enough, but I don't think it did as much as NES Remix did, which made it kind of like, okay, at this point, you should have just ported NES Remix pack or whatever. I liked it, and I would like to see them do it for another console, but yeah. This is another kind of joke one, because they're not going to do it. Just because of the hardware alone. Nintendogs. There's not I doubt there will be like a microphone or like a touch screen or like obviously it'll be a touch screen on Switch too, but like
Day one.
Day one.
I'm not even joking.
Nintendogs plus cats plus fish.
But like actually though.
Okay, but I feel like Nintendogs like relies too heavily on like the microphone and like the touchscreen and stuff like that.
Okay,
and...
listen. Do I think it'll happen? Maybe. I think if it's going to happen, it's gonna be a day one release. And I think
can see
depending on what's on this new console, we might see it. If we get microphone back, or we get, like, a good touchscreen or anything like that, I could totally see this coming back, especially to pander to that casual audience. I can totally see it. And one of the big reasons why I'm saying this is Arlo's pitch video for Switch 2 that released a few months back that did propose Nintendogs plus cats plus fish as a launch title.
Was that actually a thing? Did he put plus fish?
Yeah.
I completely made that up. I did not see that. It's the kind of thing where, like, Nintendogs was such a big thing back in the day. They could try to, like, get that nostalgia up. But I do agree, if they are gonna do it, it would have to be early on, but I don't think they're gonna. I highly doubt it.
It's really, like, if it's not a launch title, it's not happening. Because that's just what Nintendogs has always been. Just launch title games.
But what about Nintendo Labo? I can't even get it out without laughing. Honestly,
I could see some sort of spiritual successor, like Game Builder Garage type beat, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe just like a sort of DIY accessory thing for it. I could totally see it. I think Nintendo's creative enough, and they're just a company that likes to do stupid shit like this. Will they bring the cardboard back? No. I think, at the very least, some sort of spiritual successor. I highly doubt Nintendo Labo itself comes back, but at the same time, I also highly... Yeah, in the form as we know it. But I also highly doubt that we get we get nothing like it on Switch 2. We are going to get some dumb shit. This is Nintendo we're talking about.
Yeah, it'll just be so out of left field, we won't be able to predict it.
Exactly. It's going to be freaking 3DS Guide the Louvre type beat. Like, nobody's gonna be able to expect it. But we're going to get... Like, this isn't even the Nintendo Labo series. This is the Nintendo Mix Dumb Shit series. And honestly, year one...
Kind of what they did with Labo, basically. Just wait for the system to, like enter the public eye, and then do something like that.
Yeah.
And next, we have Nintendo Wars. You know, like Advance Wars, Battalion Wars. That's it. Do you think the series is going to continue? Because, honestly, I think it will. On the one hand, it's like, oh yeah, obviously, they're at least thinking about making a new one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done the remake, you know? They would have just ported it to, like, NSO and call it a day. So maybe, like, you know, maybe they want to continue the series. But also, it's like, the game got delayed multiple times, and it was kind of just a thing where it was like, it would never come out, even though the game was done for, like, I think over a year or something like that. It was done for, like, a year before it actually came out.
Yeah, by the time it was out, nobody cared.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say nobody cared. I know some people who played it and really liked it, and I ended up getting it a few months back. I haven't gone to playing it yet. I want to, though. But I just think, like, maybe in Nintendo's eyes, they're like, it wasn't worth it. Like, this was just such a hassle. It was such a mess. Like, maybe we just don't continue it. But I think if they do, they're gonna make it, like, kinda early on. Maybe, like, year 2, year 3.
Right.
Like, first half, definitely.
Advance Wars has just been dealt a bad hand, generally.
It really has. Next up is Pilot Wings. I personally think that if they bring Pilot Wings back, it'll be as, like, a minigame in, like, a Switch Sports sequel. Kind of like how they did, like, the Island Flyover in Wii Sports Resort that was kind of like Pilot Wings. Like, you could see the elements of it in there. I think they could do a lot more with it, but I don't think they want to make a new Pilot Wings game. So they'll probably just incorporate it into something like that, if they do it at all.
This is so random and out of left field and bonkers and cray-cray, but we were talking about Nintendo Labo. Have you ever played the frickin' bird game in the VR kit?
I did. The Nintendo Labo I got the Variety kit and I got the VR kit.
I think a Pilot Wings game with the frickin' bird open world thing, that could work so well.
Yeah, I could see that, honestly. I think that would be kind of cool. Next up, we got Punch-Out! Honestly, now hear me out. I could see Punch-Out! Coming out like year 1, year 2 as like an eShop game. Maybe even if that means just like porting Punch-Out Wii. I think that is the best bet at this series continuing at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that could work. I don't really have any big opinions on it.
Now, what about Pushmo? The Pushmo series, or Pull Blocks, as it's known in Europe.
For the love of God, please, Nintendo, bring it back. No, but I kind of went on like a freaking gooning streak of playing the original Pushmo games on my 3DS that is not tampered with in any way, shape, or form. No, but it's fun, right? It is a really fun series, and I think generally speaking, we could see it come back, and I want to see it come back. I really, really, really do.
I see it as like a not necessarily like second half, but kind of like mid-generation, like, oh, Pushmo's coming back kind of thing, you know? I don't see it as like an instant, yeah, put this on the console. But I could see it come back a little bit into the system's life, and then people be like, oh yeah, this series is coming back. That kind of feels right for me. Honestly, I kind of feel the same way about Rhythm Heaven. A few years in, be like, oh yeah, Rhythm Heaven's coming back. And it's not anything too crazy, just like an eShop game or something. I think it's a similar scenario to Pushmo. Though I think there are way more Rhythm Heaven fans that would be more excited by it.
I could see it. Rhythm Heaven is just one of those games that I just don't know much about, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah, me neither.
I can see it coming back. It's tough with the stuff that didn't release on the Switch, because it's either like year 1 or not at all, kind of. Maybe not, you know. I feel like it's either they've been working on something and they're just keeping it real on lock, so it's probably going to be early title, or it's just like they're not doing anything with the series, which means if they're going to start doing anything with the series now, it's going to be a late title, right? So, I mean,
because you look at the Switch's life, and there's like all these like series that got like revivals kind of late in the system's life, you know? Like, it kind of felt like the first few years were like, okay, let's get out all these our heavy hitter franchises, sell all these systems, then we can kind of make some games that we maybe wouldn't normally make. But what about Ring Fit as well? Ring Fit, do you think we're gonna get a sequel for this game or something like that on Switch 2?
I think we'll get a freaking exercise game of some sort.
I'm sure we will.
I just don't know if it'll be Ring Fit.
The game sold really well. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember I saw recently, it was like, wow. I mean, especially since it comes with like an accessory. It's like, I think it was like an $80 game or something. They could do like a sequel with it, possibly, especially since like it's an RPG. Like, you can kind of just make another one and use a lot of the same mechanics and just add some stuff, and I feel like it could still do well. Because I feel like the thing about Ring Fit is you can just make more of it, and I don't think people will complain because that just gives them more content to exercise too,
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them doing it, but I don't think it's going to be immediately. Maybe like year 2 or year 3, or I feel like just at some point within the first half, we're going to see some sort of fitness game like from Nintendo.
I could see it getting a sequel because, like, here's the thing, right? It's on Alarmo.
Yeah,
Why?
It's kind of weird. I personally saw it like being on Alarmo as like, oh, the same audience that likes Ring Fit Adventure, is probably the same kind of audience that would use Alarmo, is I think their thought process. But also, like, at this point, you can only get Alarmo from their online thing, and I feel like a lot of the people who bought Ring Fit Adventure were like casual fans who probably aren't still subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online, so it's kind of weird how they did that.
It is weird. I've heard it's a genuinely good workout.
Yeah, like even if it's just like a sequel that like doesn't add too much, but it's just kind of more of the game, I don't think even like the really big fans of it are gonna complain, because it's like, yeah, it's just, you want the game to be as long as it can because it's like an exercise thing, so just making another one that's like bigger and better but not necessarily groundbreaking is like, that could work. And next we have Snipper Clips. Do you think this game is gonna get a sequel?
I think it's possible, but I'm not confident. I think maybe we could see something like it year 1, but if not, then I don't think it's happening. I'm going with none.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like a Nintendo franchise potential, and I think they were really like pushing co-op like past the Joy-Con to a friend in like the first like 2 years. But I think they kind of realized that most people who have a Switch aren't buying it for that. So making games that emphasize that, like, while still cool, like, there is a place for it, I think they've realized that it's not as big of a thing that, like, as they were hoping it to be,
Right. Snipper Clips was just kind of there to prove that point, and I feel like the point's been proven.
Yeah, the point, it worked. It did what it set out to do. I think Snipper Clips was... Did they have a demo for it? Because I feel like I played it, but I don't have the game. I feel like
they had a demo for it. That's all I ever played.
And I did like that. I thought it was cool. I think it did what it set out to do. I'd like to play the full game at some point, but also, I don't think it's going to come back. But what they should bring back is the Tomodachi Life / Miitopia series, whatever you want to call that series.
Day 1! I'm confident in this!
Really?
I'm so confident that that Tomodachi Life 2 is a launch title. It's not even like... I have zero evidence. I have zero evidence to back it up. I just have a feeling. I've been saying this since Switch 2 was started to be rumored. Tomodachi Life is a launch title. Would I prefer a sequel to Miitopia? Yes, I would. I would prefer a sequel to Miitopia. I am just that type of person. Watch my freaking video on it. I'm a dumbass. I think that game's a masterpiece. But Tomodachi Life is really good, and it needs a sequel, and people have been begging and clamoring for a sequel. I genuinely think it is the perfect thing to launch the system with, because it is endlessly replayable. That type of game already has so much content. It is just like a pick up and play kind of thing for handheld mode. So you have your big bombastic 3D Marios and Metroid Primes, and you also have a Tomodachi Life to pop into to really round out your collection on day 1 of the new console. This series, along with like Mario Maker and Pikmin, are the 3 that I'm like, I have just a feeling that even if my thoughts may be unlikely, something about it is speaking to me.
That is fair. I can see that. And honestly, now that you say it, what if they took the makeup and stuff from Miitopia and made it as like you could do all that on the home menu. You could do that on the home menu in the Mii Maker on Switch 2, and then boom, Tomodachi Life to show that off in a new game.
Right.
However, my worry about a new Tomodachi Life game is that it's gonna be more sanitized than the original was. Like it's gonna be much more strict. Like you know with Tomodachi Life, we were making all these songs in the game that we were just making the most obscene, having the Miis just say the most obscene stuff while breaking out into song, and it was so funny. It was like some of the most fun that I've had in a Nintendo game. But Nintendo's not gonna let that slide for another game.
Edge Max.
Maybe, yeah, it was a time. I don't think it's gonna be the same, and that's why I'm scared for a new game. But I definitely see what you're saying.
It's one of those games where it's not only just like everybody wants to see it back for the sake of seeing it back, like Mario Strikers and Pokemon Snap was, because let's be honest, a lot of that was just like, we haven't seen one of these in a while, come on, Nintendo, come on, and then like nobody cared when they came out. I mean, some people did, but like, Tomodachi Life is one of those games where it's like, it's not just empty comments from people who are jumping on a bandwagon. No, so many people love this goddamn game. My dream Switch 2 launch lineup is like 3D Mario, Metroid Prime 4, Tomodachi Life, maybe Nintendogs. And I think that is like such a good lineup. And then, really early on, get us a new Animal Crossing, and just kind of stuff like that spread throughout the year. I feel like that is a good launch window lineup for the new system.
Yeah, I don't think that we would get all of that on launch day, but I could see like getting all that within like the first like 3 months, and then having Animal Crossing come out of like not long after that, and that'd be kind of like the first few games. As much as I didn't think so at first, I really like your Nintendo's idea. I do like that idea, and I like your idea for Tomodachi Life coming out soon as well. But this now is our final series, Wave Race. Not really ending it on much of a bang, but it's an ending. How do you feel about Wave Race? I kind of think it's the same thing as like 1080, honestly.
Yeah, it's a game that exists.
Yeah, I honestly just think like it's too generic. Nintendo isn't gonna wanna revive it because of that. I think it worked well at the time, N64, GameCube, getting those like first 3D games and first, like as graphical showcases, they worked well. But nowadays, Nintendo really isn't on top of the console market when it comes to like graphics, so they probably just don't care.
Right.
And that's it.
And that's it.
We got through all these series. I didn't count how many there were. I'll put how many there were on screen right now. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? But yeah, this was really fun to record. I think between the first recording we did and this one, it's about 4.5 hours of us talking. I'm sure I'll be able to cut it down substantially from that. But this was a lot of fun to record. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, we have been talking about all these ideas we have where we just kind of sit and chat, kind of podcasty style, just about things, ideas and stuff we have about Nintendo games or just gaming in general. I know we kind of alluded to like both of us having like our own ideas for like the next Splatoon game, so maybe we can make a video about that, kind of just talking about what we want to see in a new game or whatever. So yeah, if you guys would like to see that or any other any other kind of content like this, definitely let me know in the comments. And I had a lot of fun with this. How about you, JGPanther26?
I did have a lot of fun with this. I think it was really cool. And yeah.
Well, yeah. I know you've done a bit of self-promoting already throughout this video, but where can we find you? Where can we find you?
Where can you find me? Little me? Well, you can subscribe to the JG Panther YouTube channel. I post video essay content semi-regularly, but we're trying to hit 1K subs before the end of the year, and I think we can do it. We're almost at 700 at the time of recording this, so if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and give it a look.
But yeah, I mean that's all I gotta say. If you don't have anything else,
I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling satisfied. I'm feeling all sorts of ways.